So, on to this week's Street Talk then, and we have got 6 storylines to cover this week, although a couple of them there's really barely anything to talk about. There were lots of big stories, weren't there? It's difficult to know this week which one to kind of, what order to put them in, because I felt like there was quite a few A stories running alongside each other. I'm going to start off with the Daisy's Bloomin' story, all everything that was going on with her pregnancy and the big reveal in the quiz the other day. I'm chucking the Cassie and Ken story in there as well, so we'll tackle that one first. After that, we have, of course, got the verdict in the battered briefcase. And it came a bit sooner than I thought, to be honest. I was waiting for that to extend out a little bit longer, but who knew that murder trials could just be as cut and dry as that, eh? Next up, this one I'm partly naming on a little phrase that you coined this week. You were very clever. Gemma's done some good word play this week.
Thank you.
Leanne's been up to a whole lot of mischief, hasn't she? What would you describe Leanne's mischief as?
I'm so proud of myself.
Go on.
Leantics.
Leantics. She's been up to some right Leantics this week. In fact, she's been doing Leantics all over the street. She's been doing Leantics here, Leantics there, Leantics everywhere.
Yeah.
So I'm calling the storyline title Leantics Roadshow. There we go. There's a better both of us. The Antiques Roadshow. Oh,
That's
silly.
good,
Silly. Up next, this down from that one. Hey Platt Payback, which is the Hey Platt Payback.
Hey Big Spender.
No, Hey is in Damon Hey Harvey.
Oh, what's the
Gaskell.
pun then?
Actually, there's nothing really to do with Hey, is it? Never mind.
What did you say it was?
Hey Platt Payback. But it's actually Gaskell.
What's it based on?
Nothing. They just kind of sound similar, don't they?
Oh.
That's okay.
It's great though.
No, that was terrible. Next up, we will talk a little bit more about the breakdown mechanic story, and finally, our kid's kidney needed. Tiny bit of a few little swallow scenes just to keep the fans in suspense
in their
this
seats.
Week. Yes. So Daisy's blooming this week. She's blooming while pregnant. We had the quiz. What was the quiz? Was it? I can't remember whether it was Wednesday or Monday. But I think it must be.
It was Wednesday.
It was Wednesday. Quiz. Wednesday was the quiz, wasn't it?
Great.
That was. I have definitely seen and can totally agree with the commenters online who are saying, "Would a backstreet pub really have a quiz on a Wednesday in the middle of the day? Who turned up to that in real life?" Well, as much as Rovers can be filled out. That's what happens when you have a street where everybody works within 10 seconds walking distance of the pub. Maybe they can turn up to it.
Well, if you got, on your lunch break, fancy a quiz?
It didn't actually particularly bother me.
I didn't care at all.
I also saw somebody on, I think it was on Reddit maybe this week, saying that one of their big issues with Coronation Street at the moment is how that everything that happens is in some kind of nebulous now time. You don't get the sense of time progressing through the day, and I do get that. I totally get that. Sometimes you might tell if it's an evening, but because there's very little of people at work, isn't there?
Do you remember your sister did her dissertation about time and how it was portrayed in the theatre?
Oh yeah, she did, didn't she?
I wonder what she'd think of
What would she think
Street
of that?
at the moment.
But no, I get it.
I do think it's important. I do think that there's, and it only takes a few little clues, doesn't it? Like, somebody's eating breakfast. You just know it's morning.
It's because, like, the vast majority of characters don't seem to be spending time at work, are they? That's the thing. Everybody seems to have a reason not to be at work on Coronation Street.
It's because a lot of them don't actually... Yeah, what do they do? I mean, Bethany...
Or they've got some reason to be out of work, I suppose.
Yeah.
Like recent plastic surgery in Turkey,
and it's like, why did it have to be at lunchtime?
I think Daisy just said to whoever it was she was talking about, it's just Jenny's new initiative.
No, I know, no. That's the story reason why it was at lunchtime. But what's the purpose? I guess, why did the writers need it to be at lunchtime?
I guess things that happened after that needed enough time afterwards to happen, or maybe it was going on at the same time as the trial, what have you, and they wanted to have it in the middle of the episode cliffhanger because of what happened afterwards, the consequence. I don't know. It was maybe we're being too nitpicky here. As I say, it didn't particularly bother me, but I have, yes, as I say, seen the commenters online pointing that out.
Well, it's like you never know what day it's supposed to be. Like you kind of take it in faith that it's the day you're watching
weekends
it,
in Weatherfield,
but they never they never have a Tuesday and Thursday then,
No,
or weekends.
No.
It doesn't make any
Every
sense.
day just
And then
happens
on a
after
Friday
the
they'll
next.
say, "Oh, tomorrow we're going to go," and then on Monday they're going to the place they said they were going to go to on Friday.
Yeah, it's a real bugbear of mine.
And
That's
nobody
manic,
gets to have roast dinner.
Yeah.
What a tragic world.
It starts off the week, and Jenny is with Daisy in the side of the road, the left-hand side of the bar, trying to film this video advertising Waterford's Prosecco. I'd kind of forgotten that it was Waterford's in charge now, but it is, isn't it?
Yeah, I
Newton
totally
and
did
Ridley
not
is no
realise.
more.
Oh.
And and Daisy is so not into this. Jenny's just desperately trying to drum up anything to get a bit of money for the pub.
She said something like, "If we do a good job of it, they'll promote the pub."
Yeah, I think
I
so.
don't imagine anyone's on Instagram or what is it, NPX, going, "Oh, I need somewhere to drink. Where do I go? Oh, this place does non-alcoholic prosecco, and this barmaid looks so happy about it. I think I should go there."
Yeah, she doesn't do too good a job, and then but she does glug a bit of this prosecco back. Like you said, it was non-alcoholic, but it's enough to make Daniel just get a bit concerned because he thinks it's
Policing
the
her
real
body.
deal. Yes,
My
yes.
body, my choice.
I wouldn't necessarily promote that attitude to ladies in the club, but
Well, it depends on what kind of club it is.
the baby
Maybe
club.
it's in a day ladies that drink at a lunchtime club.
Anyway, look, he said, I need a DNA test after this. I can't be on edge every time you look like you're doing something
But
stupid.
this is hilarious. Okay, right. So he's like, "Oh, don't harm my baby. But if it's not my baby, you can drink as much as you want. I don't care."
Yeah, exactly.
Look, Daniel.
He wants his baby to be really clever, and you're not going to get clever babies by boozing away
allegedly,
during
you
your
don't.
gestation
It's not a
period.
good idea. But you know, he's got to watch himself because this is how he gets new customers. The poor babies that they're damaged and then they end up in prison, and then he can teach them
I
Shakespeare.
don't think that you can say that children who suffered fetal alcohol.
Oh my God.
I always get those words confused. Will necessarily be prison bound.
No, you can say that the society fails them to the extent that they might fall through the cracks and turn to crime.
This is possible. But anyway, look, he wants a DNA test.
So you can know whether
that.
to chill out on her, you know, drinking and eating
Exactly.
sushi and smoking and having soft cheeses.
Quite.
Dairylee's fine though.
Is it?
Well, yeah, Dairylee's fine.
You can have Dairy when you're pregnant, but not brie.
Nobody should come to me for advice.
No
about
medical
doing
advice on Gemma.
pregnant.
She doesn't know what she's talking about. Bethany's on the phone later. Remember this job that she's been bizarrely headhunted for, inexplicably so.
Yeah.
She's like, "Oh, I know I turned it down last time, but is it still available?" No. Heck yeah, it is. Bethany Platt. In fact, we already hired someone. We're going to kick him out just so you can come and work for us. You amazing writer, you. So she's definitely, I mean, obviously we kind of thought, well, with Lucy Fallon's, no, she's had a baby now, hasn't she? Bethany's not going to be long for this street, so it looks like that's how they're going to be getting rid of her this time. Daisy, back to her, has managed to get a very handy cancellation appointment for a DNA test. It feels like a while since someone in Corrie's got something because of a cancellation. That always used to be a bit of a trope
You're supposed
that we've
to drink.
spotted, aren't we? What?
Take a drink every time.
Every time there's a cancellation.
Unless you're pregnant.
Exactly. I wondered what you were getting at there. Daniel's starting to worry about telling Bethany about this whole DNA test thing. And then he asks her if, Daisy that is, if she'd marry him if it was his baby. And she's like, she says, "I hope if this child's yours, it's not half as annoying as you are." It probably would be. I think this is
It's a
definitely
good
in the Barlow
reason to
genes,
stay
isn't it?
child free, isn't it?
Yeah. I just can't. I can't get myself invested in this couple now. It's too frantic. It's too like.
What, Daisy and Daniel?
Daisy and Daniel, who I want to be together forever and ever. I just can't believe it's going to happen. Daniel and
No.
Bethany, I'm not. Obviously, that's.
I've lost all interest in this
Unfortunately, yeah.
because of what. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, look, I still am enjoying them together while they're having these scenes together. I'm even starting to wonder whether the baby could be his now.
Whose?
Daniel's, or whether it is actually Kit's. I kind of had my heart set on the fact that it's going to be his. But then I think it was Rebecca messaged me earlier this week, and then I checked it out myself afterwards, that she was told when she was having her scan that it was
A very long baby.
No.
Oh, okay. What?
That's Yeah,
What?
definitely not for your medical advice. It was 8 weeks ago that she said the baby is about 8 weeks old, and Daisy's first date with Kit was about 8 weeks ago, but it was 6 weeks ago when she and Daniel had that bunk up on the Rover's sofa. So
Can she
I don't
not
know. Is there
do
much of a
maths?
difference between? Well, that's what I wonder. I do wonder this, but is there much of a difference really between 8 weeks and 6 weeks in terms of fetal sizes?
How many
there
Corix is it?
I guess there is. So Daisy maybe really should have thought, although maybe she didn't actually write down what happened. Or
It's too complicated. I think
it feels. I'm feeling it's more likely to be Kit's now, and I'm a bit sad about that.
It's too complicated.
I'm a bit sad.
Why make your life hard?
Little kitten growing inside her. That'd be quite cute.
Oh, a kitten!
Yeah, if the baby came out and it was a kitten because it was Kit's, but I don't think that's how it works. Daisy hobbles back to the pub later. She's still on her crutches, isn't she? I think, and she tells Jenny about this. Oh no, I missed it.
The results aren't ready for this DNA
Oh yeah,
test
I missed it.
yet.
Sorry, yes, he went and he had his stuff.
He'd had his stuff.
He had his test tested. He had his bits and pieces.
You only need to test one of them.
I don't know how it works.
Don't you?
Yeah. Anyway, she goes and tells Jenny about it. Says results aren't ready yet. Also, look, Daniel's been really mooning after me. And that Jenny says, well, he's in love with you. It's clear as the nose on my face, isn't it? Daisy's like, well, he's engaged to Bethany. Far as I'm concerned, me, him, done.
Wouldn't it put you off somebody who was not that into you that he's gonna leave his current girlfriend? You know, like no,
I could understand a bit of bets hedging in the early days of this, but he has had a long time now to pick.
Who do I want?
Yeah,
he's horrible. I just don't understand. Okay,
it's funny. It's still entertaining to watch, though.
Oh
isn't
yeah,
it?
Look. The drama
he
here...
is in no way a boring character for me to watch.
No, he's not boring.
He's very fascinating.
This is what I need people
complex.
to sort of understand about these characters and about some of them, how they're annoying and they do the wrong thing or, don't necessarily like them.
It's the same with Leanne, isn't it? Clearly,
everyone
what
hates
she's
her,
doing is
don't they?
despicable.
But she's so entertaining.
Leanne was absolute peak this
She's like
week,
the Grinch
honestly.
of Weatherfield.
Yeah,
if the Grinch was sexually promiscuous.
Grim. Okay, so Daisy also finds when she goes back to the back bits of the Rovers that Jenny's latest money-making scheme is selling all of her clothes. This was
weird.
This was very weird.
Jenny had a bit of a brain problem this week.
I'm finding Jenny to help the plot along is making
being a bit oblivious.
Being a bit
simple.
Yeah, she is. Oblivious is right. She's making some really dumb decisions and just being about, what can I do about it? And it just doesn't fit with kind of my...
Doesn't ring
true to what to how I consider Jenny. I know that she needs the money, but she's just feeling like she's not putting a whole lot of thought behind her decisions, and it was deciding, I am going to sell my stepdaughter's entire wardrobe without asking her. In fact, I've already sold something. Come on.
Not only that, but she sold it to her worst enemy.
Yeah, Bethany gets a lovely pistachio green bag of daisies. Sorry, that is out of order,
also,
Jenny. Calling you out on that.
It's an ugly
you
bag.
You wouldn't have bought it, would you?
I think Bethany only bought it to rub it in Daisy's face.
I don't know.
Yes, of course she did.
But really, I wouldn't want a bag or any possessions of my love rival.
Let me explain it to you.
But I don't understand women, so what can I say?
This is not necessarily a universal women thing, but by buying this bag from Jenny, right? Number one, she knows that Daisy hasn't okayed this, so she's going behind her back, right? And even if she doesn't, it's a way of saying, oh, I'll help you out, you poor, sad loser with no money. I'll buy your cast-offs because you need to sell, it's like patronising and I'm the fancy London writer now. I'm going to be earning a fortune in the big city, so I'll help you. I'll do my bit of charity
sense, I guess.
And carry your silly little bag.
She is incredibly petty.
Yes, she is.
I'm really going to miss when Bethany goes off on Lucy Fallon's maternity. I'm going to miss the petty bitchiness between the two of them. It's really fun to watch.
Bethany's pettier than Daisy, and that's saying something,
Yeah, she is. She totally is. I think that Daisy could rise above it, but Bethany goes out of her way. No, sorry. Rose above the temptation to retaliate
Daisy's like,
sometimes.
oh, it's not worth my time.
Yeah.
Whereas Bethany is, I think, is a bit more immature, and she's younger anyway. But you can imagine her going to Ascend Trend, and she's writing an article like 5 ways to get back at your annoying boyfriend's ex.
Yeah.
Buy her pistachio bag and go through the pockets to find incriminating evidence.
I would say that Daisy should try and get her own back on Bethany, but I know what kind of bags Bethany's into at the moment, and Daisy didn't want that. She didn't want that.
No. Okay.
Okay, so we had Daisy understandably knocked off about this. We only had one more scene with that this episode. It's Daniel getting home, finding Bethany cooking a fancy dinner for him. She tells him about the job offer and says, well, yeah, I've even found us a place to stay in Clapham. And he's like, I can't really say no, really. He doesn't look happy about this. And it's not just, well, it's clearly Daisy. He cannot bear to leave Daisy. Also, obviously, the thing about this could be his baby, he doesn't want to be leaving that behind. Can't mention that to Bethany yet. And again, the longer he leaves it, the worse it's gonna be. Well, that's what we find out on Wednesday, isn't it? When it gets whole revealed that it may be that Who's the Daddy may indeed be him on Wednesday's episode. But
anyway, it's not Clapham, it's Clam.
Clam, I knew you'd say that. And also, you know, Bethany saying, yeah, I found us a house to live in living in London. Has she put any consideration whatsoever into the fact that he's got a job here?
I know.
He's not going to commute to Weatherfield, is he?
I don't know if it's different in prison, but it's not a very portable job, is it?
No, I mean, he doesn't have to stay a prison teacher, to be fair, does he?
No, I know.
But if I was working in I know prison behaviour and all that probably isn't the best, but if I'd been used to working in Manchester schools and then I was told, yeah, you got to go and live in teach in an inner city London school, I'd probably be bricking it. I don't like the idea of teaching in a...
I know you're scared of London.
London children may be a bit intimidating, and maybe Daniel's made of tougher stuff than me, but I've seen him have his breakdowns.
I think we think of London the way that the rest of the country thinks of the South. Like, it's either full of like maniac criminals, or everyone is incredibly posh.
Well, maybe he's hoping that. What's Clapham like?
As gentrified, isn't it? I don't know. How do I know? You go through it in a train when you go to Waterloo.
I'm going to say that probably beggars can't be choosers when it comes to finding teaching job in London at the moment. So she is landing him right in it.
When I say it's not a portable job, is that it's obviously different in prisons, but you couldn't just go, oh, next week I won't be here because I'm moving to another place. I'm going to another school.
Oh yeah. There's that. There is obviously that. You would have to give I think Daniel would have to give like a terms notice also at the moment. So what's Bethany's plan?
Can you imagine having a summer holiday in prison?
Yeah. And there's a little.
What do you think they do?
I don't know. Is there a little summer holiday club? Is that when the vicar comes in and
maybe
does
they
the Bible club? Maybe
they will out like a big toddlers like sand play area and go, right, you're at the beach, boys. Just imagine.
Tell you what, that'd be the worst thing if you were in prison, not having summer holidays and having to have school year round.
But this is Daniel's life, Michael. Maybe that's why he gets more time off. And sporadically.
Could be, yeah. Just wanted time off today.
There is no actual
term. I don't know.
Terms.
Maybe that's something for us.
There's
to
no way to find it out. I don't think it's impossible information.
To find out the answer to this. Wednesday rolls around, and Bethany's already excitedly researching London schools in the cafe for kid, not for Daniel to work in.
I think there's a few there in London. There's probably about 5 or 6, so she's got to really look into them.
She's just full of the excitement about this new life.
Because she don't even like. I don't even think she likes Bertie, to be honest with you. Do you? No, not really.
She's not as into Bertie as Daisy is.
Daisy really seems to love Bertie.
Yeah. Kit finds out they're moving to London. So does Daisy. They're all there. Everybody involved in the storyline, of course, is in the cafe at this point. Daisy is mightily peeved when she hears about this.
Bethany's super smug too. Like, I'm going to live in London.
Yeah. So Daisy kind of clops out because obviously she doesn't want to lose Daniel if the baby is his. Daniel comes around the Rovers. I think this is when the idea of the pub quiz this lunchtime is mooted. Be there or be square. Daniel comes around the Rovers before it's open for the quiz later to chat with Daisy, and he's like, I promise I was going to tell you about London.
'cause she
She
doesn't
is
even
fuming.
had any idea that they were going, even thinking about it.
No, she didn't know this was on the card. She said, you're a coward, Daniel. Should have seen this coming.
Yeah,
though.
he is a
She's
coward.
right. Every time.
He doesn't like to have difficult
as much as I
conversations.
love Daniel so much, I'm totally team Daisy here at the moment.
You love Daniel?
Yeah, I think he's great to watch.
You're entertaining.
He's a very entertaining chap. But yeah, I'm totally team Daisy. But the number of times, the number of chances that she's given him, seriously.
He's such a drip.
He is. He's just totally,
Flaky.
totally unreliable. He's the flakiest flake. Stick him on an ice cream cone, honestly. Anyway, things don't end very well for them by the end of the conversation anyway. We got a bit of a celebration meal in the Rovers later. Hooray, we're going off later. It's Adam, it's Alia, it's Sarah, Bethany, Daniel there. Bethany is taking the opportunity to rub having Daisy's old pistachio bag right in her face, and also make some quite major insinuations about knowing about this pregnancy before revealing, because she comes up to the bar, doesn't she?
Yeah, she's like, oh, look at this bag I've got.
There's a pregnancy leaflet in the bag, and she's like, you didn't take this out, did you?
That's because she didn't know Jenny was selling it. Jenny should have gone through the pockets, man.
I know, but this makes Jenny selling the bag even worse, because this wasn't like just an old bag that Daisy hasn't...
she was still taking it to appointments.
Yeah, this is on her current bag rotation.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I looked at the synopsis for this episode. I don't usually do that, and it said, I'm pretty sure it said that she found a pregnancy test in the bag originally.
I'd want my money back.
But it wasn't that. Yeah, maybe it'd be a bit lumpy, wouldn't it? Really. Anyway, just Daisy is absolutely fuming. Bethany knows about the pregnancy. This is the beginning of the build-up to the brilliant revelation. So, because I said that this was going to be the same story, I'm chucking it in anyway. You got Cassie at number 1 having a bit of a snoop, hasn't she? She's doing a spring clean upstairs, supposedly. It's Adam and Alia that find her. And then I'm just making me think, are they actually a couple? Was our prediction that they'd be a couple just a little bit out of date? Are they going out? I don't really know. But anyway, they find Cassie.
Well, they leave, don't they? They're not going to stay for the quiz. They just had their meal and now they're going.
Yeah.
And they've gone next door.
I was just about to say this. Yeah. But I don't know whether Adam and Alia are a thing.
No, I don't know. I don't really care, actually.
Anyway, once they've gone, Cassie pulls Ken's credit card out of her pocket and then kind of waves it in front of the camera to say, look, audience, I've got Ken's card.
I wonder what she thinks
because
she's
why
going to
is
do
it?
with it?
Why is it that on soaps, whenever anyone has pinched something, they always just have to take it out to have a look?
Otherwise we
just
wouldn't know,
to make sure
would we?
it's still there.
We don't have X-ray vision.
We don't find out
Maybe
anything.
that could be a new storytelling technique.
What?
Zooming into pockets.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that could be. That's Corrie's latest editing technique.
Why not?
And it does seem like we are literally, every single episode of Coronation Street at the moment, there's some kind of
new thing.
Innovative, I'll say, editing technique to really enhance the mood and help us to understand what's going on and what the characters are feeling. Maybe X-ray vision is next.
I would like them to do, zoom in, and we see inside a pocket or something, but I want them to make a noise like a whoosh, like a whoosh, kind of cool noise, so we know that we're doing some kind of science, like looking scientifically through material.
It'd be more realistic, wouldn't it? Because people don't actually in real life, when they pinch something, just take them out of their pockets to have a look at them.
And we are some kind of, omniscient observer, aren't we? So why can't we look
Why
through?
can't we know?
We can see through walls. We go from place to place in an instant like that.
Yeah.
We can magic ourselves anywhere.
There we go.
Can't. Sometimes we can
That's
read
Cynthia
thoughts,
Brooks.
but it's very rare. Why can't we see through things?
Anyway, back to the quiz. Kit's trying to talk to Daisy. She ain't interested in him because he's already at this point given up on the idea of raising his little kitten with her, should that be what popped out. Bethany then excitedly reveals to the whole pub that she and Daniel are getting married.
She's so
29th of
insufferable.
August. I don't think that's
They
happening,
kind of
Bethany,
are
sorry.
perfect for each other because of how insufferable Bethany and Daniel both are.
Daniel is insufferable in a completely
Yeah.
different way than Bethany. He is not showy like this.
I think he's more
She's
dangerous
a massive
because
drama queen.
yeah, she wants attention, but he kind of doesn't court attention, but he still expects it.
Yeah. Anyway, she's like, yes, we're getting married. Everyone's invited. She's clearly doing it just to push Daisy's buttons.
The other thing that was really insufferable about her in this scene is that they are having their quiz, aren't they? and they're in teams, and she says, our team name is the Londoners.
Oh, yes.
Oh, just do one.
And Daisy's like, blunderers, right? Yeah. That was great. I loved it. Everything about that quiz was fantastic. But it all culminated in Daisy. You could see, like, well, as soon as Bethany does this proposal announcement, Daisy's look just is like, I've had enough of this. Goes over to Jenny, grabs the microphone, and gives her quiz question. Here's a question for everybody. If Daisy is pregnant, but there are 2 men that she slept with, who's the father of the baby? Kit or Daniel? It was amazing. That I did not see that coming.
Like one of the peak moments this year so far.
It absolutely was. I feel that wasn't previewed in the synopses beforehand.
No.
I online was buzzing with this, weren't they?
It's
Daisy's
a great example.
Literal mic drop moment. She should have actually dropped
it. Of catching us out with a revelation.
Yeah, because when characters have got a secret, we always know it's going to come out, don't we? Nobody can keep a secret in Coronation Street, but I guess when you're watching, you have a bit of an idea in your head about.
You've got a timeline.
Yeah, maybe. I think that this is going to be revealed at this point. Yeah, it's a bit like last year when Dee Dee found out about what a scumbag Joel was, and that revelation we thought it was going to be at the wedding, but actually they blindsided us and made it a month and a half before that.
Yeah.
This I didn't know when Lucy was going off on her maternity leave, and I suppose it makes sense for the revelation to happen before she went off, so it was bound to be relatively soon, I suppose, but I just was not prepared for it in that moment. And as a retaliation to Bethany's totally childlike behaviour, it was so amazing.
I know, it's just like...
Brilliant stuff.
Daisy is definitely like, if they go low, I go lower.
Yeah, exactly. And that was then the talking point. Nobody was talking about Bethany's wedding after that in the quiz, I'll tell you that.
What a perfect way of upstaging her.
Yeah.
Just victory all round.
Very effortless as well. Bethany kind of almost comes across like she's trying too hard in her attempts to take Daisy down, and Daisy can just like, well,
because
how about this?
All the things she's happy and pleased about are things that we should all celebrate anyone doing, like getting married, getting a job, moving to a new city. These are all really fun and exciting, like, rites of passage for a young person. But because Bethany's so smug about it, you're like, I hope London just catches on fire before you get there, honestly.
Yeah, I'm just really enjoying Bethany even. And
well, I said Bethany.
Yeah, I know. I'm just thinking that, when she came back a year or so ago, I was kind of looking forward to it. And then it just felt like throughout a lot of 2024, she wasn't as entertaining as I'd wanted her to be. It was more on the annoying side.
But
what they're tapping into, this rivalry, is absolutely fantastic. It's the same as what we're getting with Tora and Leanne at the moment, I suppose.
I do like that. I know. Yeah, it is interesting.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that their behaviour isn't deplorable in some ways, but I don't care. It's not real.
Although
it's entertainment.
Although I like
only.
Daisy and I don't like Bethany that much, I still find it funny if Bethany gets one over on Daisy. It's as long as it's clever and interesting and funny.
Oh yeah, totally.
I don't mind. I like the sniping.
I'm not particularly on either side here, but I suppose I'm leaning more towards Daisy. But you're right. If it's the same, when Leanne gets one over on Toya, the toaster, the passport toasting was
epic.
So epic.
I absolutely love that.
But I still love Toya.
Yeah, I think we're horrible people, aren't we? Because this is just delightful.
There was an article on BBC News this week. It's like a feature article on the website about, is Britain becoming more acclimatised and used to like deviousness and trickery, and how do our attitudes towards dishonesty, are they different now to how they were? And there was like a study that was done in the early 80s, I think, compared to a more recent one, and like if somebody is cheating on their benefits, is that okay? And more people these days say yes, that's okay. And it was all kind of tied into the traitors, and people are enjoying that kind of stuff now.
What did it say that was the reason?
I don't know if there was. I think they've kind of leaned into a little bit like politicians, and how they used to be more figures that people would look up to and respect.
Undermining.
But, yeah.
If politicians can do it, then anyone can.
Yeah, exactly. Also, there might have been more, I don't remember. It was quite interesting.
In the 80s, I think that was, boom time, wasn't it, economically? I think people, when you're insecure, you're more, like, financially or, economically of the future. Everyone's quite insecure at the moment. You really don't know what's going to happen next.
No.
And I think that all bets are off then, aren't they?
Mm-hmm. So anyway, that's just my little side note.
That was very interesting.
Yeah. So that's why I'm loving these characters so much.
Because we're so economically insecure, we just like devious behaviour. And also it's Boris Johnson's fault.
Yes, exactly. Anyway, I forgot where we are in the notes now. So Daniel, of course, has also been majorly blindsided by this. He's sitting in a booth next to Bethany, who
blown
is
his whole life up.
Obviously not very happy about this revelation that's just been made in front of the semi-crowded pub, I'm going to say. Who else was there?
Kirk, because he wanted to know what the answer was.
Oh, yes, that was fun. That was funny,
Mary,
wasn't it?
Brian.
Yeah, Brian, Mary and Kirk were there for the comedy asides, but Kirk was not too bad when he's like, well, what's the answer then?
Yeah, you can't.
I don't remember who else.
There was a night at the Chariot Square Hotel.
Yeah, I was just going to say, there was only about 2-3 teams maybe playing this, and you could win a night at the Chariot Square Hotel.
Yeah, how much are they bringing in? How much was each entry?
Yeah, I'm not sure whether that quite makes up for it. Maybe there were some online players as well we just didn't get to see.
Yeah, maybe they were zooming it.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? Anyway, Bethany is absolutely furious. So Sarah, I love it when she gets rolled up. She's such a protective mother, isn't she? And she gets clucking like a mother hen whenever anybody gets one over on Bethany. She's been pointing that wonky finger all week this week.
Completely unreasonable in her defence of her.
Yeah, but what I did also enjoy was how she got called out on it on Wednesday and Friday's episode. I think Bethany said, "You're one to talk, aren't you? You had a Who's the Daddy storyline of your own last year." And I think Daisy says as much
last year?
Yeah.
Oh,
with was it Dave? Yeah, was it Adams or Damon's baby? Because Daisy refers to it on Friday, saying, "Oh, wasn't it revealed on the balloon? Do you remember the balloon popping at the gender reveal party?" That was great, wasn't it? Was that last year? I think it was last year.
I do not know.
I lose track of time. Anyway, everyone's mad. Daniel's desperately trying to. Well, I hope that the sinkhole will open again. Kit's there as well because he was annoyed that Daisy had led him on to believe that the baby was definitely his. Poor guy. Although actually, he didn't actually want the baby. So Daisy says that. Sarah says that Daisy and Daniel deserve each other. So Daniel rages at Daisy for what she did, and she's like, "Well, you can't. You'll hardly want to lecture me because of how self-righteous you are. I just did what I did to protect myself, basically." Then she gets stomach cramps. Then she's in hospital because we've managed to get this far into the podcast without anybody being in hospital. Daisy's turn on the carousel this week, and she's worried because she's been googling ectopic pregnancies, and Jenny's there. And second trip to the hospital for Jenny in as many weeks, and she's like, "We'll deal with it. Whatever happens, it's going to be fine." I think it turned into nothing, didn't it? If I'm remembering right.
They said it was very common, but it was right that she came in.
Yeah. It gives her an opportunity to sit with Kit in the and getting the gel on her tummy and stuff later.
Yes, and this was Kit's emotional connection.
Yeah, because we had a few scenes in between of Bethany and Sarah in the flat, but I think we kind of talked about that. Go on, what were you saying about Kit? Well, I was just going
to say that he was very like, "I'm not interested in this." But then he sees the baby on the screen.
It's a telly classic moment, isn't it? You see it in the for real. You see it on the screen, and it's like, "Oh, I do anything to protect that baby.
Yeah,
I'd plant hair in somebody's van.
Yeah,
if it would protect my baby.
I'd be a bent copper for my baby.
Yes, exactly.
Well, he's like, "Look, I'm sorry, I was out of order. I'll do anything. If I'm all in, I'll take him football, whatever.
Football on the Red Wreck, even. You'd be lucky. Nobody ever goes to the Red Wreck anymore, Kit." And
how do you know it's a boy? Kit, it could be a girl.
Yes.
But then Lily likes to kick about on the Red Wreck as well.
Yes.
So it's all inclusive.
We also had in that episode a little bit more of Cassie just saying, because she tells him about the pregnancy, doesn't she? And we see her pocket his card again. And then the only thing that happens after that, we have another scene in the pub at the end where Kit delights in stopping Daniel from going back behind the bar, but he goes behind anyway. Daisy's like got her arms crossed. She's like, "The baby's fine, thanks for asking. But shouldn't you be looking after Bethany?" Oh, look, here comes Bethany. The Kit's shown her through just for maximum chaos, and Bethany takes off her engagement ring, chucks it on the floor, and tells Daisy that Daniel is all hers. So it's over. Bethany and Daniel no more. So sad. Friday is just kind of picking up the pieces of that, really.
She's moving out, isn't she?
Yeah, she's moving out. She's collecting all her stuff, and Sarah's saying, "You're well shut, Daniel." She's not wrong. you get off to London, clean break, all going to be
Go
fine.
to live in Clapham.
Yes. Daniel and Ken, meanwhile, are having a chat in number 1, and he decides, I can't remember, maybe I missed it, maybe there's an explanation for it in the episode. I don't know why he took a whole week and a half to reveal about the whole Bertie secretly seeing Cassie maybe putting something in Ken's drink, but now's the time anyway.
Maybe he's just addicted to drama.
I suppose before last week, he couldn't tell him, sorry. Yeah, Cassie, they were a bit of a stalemate situation, weren't they? If he told Ken, then Cassie would tell Ken about him and Daisy and the love triangle, but now that's all out in the open.
He's like, I've got nothing to lose.
Yeah. Although I don't think Ken was particularly...
It didn't feel very spectacular, did it?
No, I was expecting a bit more from someone of, what, you've waited all this time to tell me that I might be secretly being poisoned. But Ken was like, nah, it's probably nothing. I'm sure that Bertie's just seeing things.
It does seem like a waste of naturally occurring drama.
Yeah,
but
totally.
Maybe there's going to be more to this.
Poor Danny, he's got enough going on in his life at the moment. I mean, eventually, clearly, it is going to be revealed, and Ken will find out that he's been being poisoned. But I guess Daniel is
on Daniel, is it? Because
yeah.
Daniel's told
Although
him everything he knows.
Tracy still might do, to be honest. She
Tracy's
doesn't need an excuse to get revenge on someone.
Where'd that go?
Yeah, you're right. That didn't turn to anything, did it? Daisy and Jenny, meanwhile, they're chatting about scans and stuff in the back of the pub, and she says, "Oh, it was a bit embarrassing in the hospital when I had to admit I didn't know who the dad was, and people are going to have a field day with this gossip-wise. It's kind of feeling a bit like everything's going wrong for me at the moment." And Jenny says, "Well, you've only got yourself to blame for that." She was being supportive. She was trying to cheer up and make her feel like the world isn't ending, wasn't she? It was quite a nice little mother-ish daughter moment. But she's not wrong that it's partly her fault as well. Having all these men on the go, not using protection properly.
Well, wait for Leanne. What's the fallout from her and Ryan going to be?
Oh yeah, we're going to have a little Ryan baby.
Well, she got pregnant with a one-night stand, but that was Steve McDonald's superpowered sperm.
Yeah, I don't think
know
Ryan
what
has
Ryan's
that.
Got.
I don't need Leanne to be pregnant with Ryan.
But it would be the kind of, this is the sort of thing that happens if you're an older woman and you think, oh, there's no way I'll get pregnant. I'm too old now. I'm not going to even bother taking any protection, and then oopsie doo.
Yeah, but I think Leanne is still in the age bracket where some form of precaution might be
She's slightly
advised.
older than me, and I'm not looking for babies.
No. Right, Ken confronts Cassie later and says, "Look, sorry, Daniel."
I'm just saying your fertility rate drops like super drastically.
I know, totally.
I'm not saying.
You can't. That's not going to hold up in court, is it, Leanne? Anyway, Ken's telling Cassie about this secret later that he's found out about. And I think he's kind of confronting her in a relatively serious tone. He's not joking about it
but
too
he's
much,
not
even though he's
being confrontational.
No.
It's not like, what have you done, is he? He's like, look, what's happened here?
Yeah. I think it maybe came from it. I could see Teacher Ken there.
Yeah.
Saying, I've heard rumours about you, Cassie, and I just want to know. You tell me your side of the story. I think it was kind of he was drawing from his years of experience there. I don't know. He says, "Can you clarify the situation?" And she's like, "Oh, Ken, I'm really ashamed of myself. I really let myself down." And you knew that she wasn't going to reveal it there, did you? We're not ready for Cassie to fess up to Ken, especially when she's too busy enjoying pinching his money at the moment. And she admits that in inverted commas that she slipped a brandy into her coffee once because she was finding it a little bit difficult to cope. I know we've all been to kids' birthday parties that you just need something to help you get through it, don't you?
You need a top.
And Ken's like, thank goodness that's all. And she's like saying, "Oh, I'll understand if you want me out. I'm really sorry, Ken." And he's like, No, it's going to be fine. It's fine.
Boozing on the job.
But basically, this story, if we just kind of get through this bit of it, because it really does diverge from the Daniel and everything. She comes back to him later and says, "Well, you said you'd help me. Can I have money for an addiction? Was it an addiction clinic or therapy?" I think she's asking for, isn't she?
He says, "Look, Peter, he struggled. I know about being an addictive person.
Yeah, so
Is it too stressful, this job?"
Yeah, so she basically, by the end of the episode, has managed to wangle however much an addiction therapy costs out of him, which she clearly has no intention of using for those purposes. I don't know what... We've seen her with all this money. We've actually seen her, but I don't know what she wants. Maybe that's why she's had a bit of a glow up recently, because she's looking a lot more Claire Sweeney-ish now than she was a year and a half ago, isn't she?
Get your nails done, get your hair done, get
Yeah.
your face done.
Yeah.
It's very expensive to be a lady.
But anyway, that's kind of where that's left there. Back to the love triangle stuff. Sarah fires shots at Daisy in the street when they cross paths, and this is the bit where Daisy points out to Sarah, "You are hardly one to talk." I think, like, nobody is one to talk about anything on the street. I think that's the vibe I'm
They're
getting.
all deeply immoral, aren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, even Roy lied to the police
Yeah,
and
but
hit Gary with a baseball bat.
they might as well
Set fire to a boat.
have their own little glass house just walking around with them at all points in Coronation.
And bag of stones.
A bag of stones inside there. Exactly, yeah. But maybe you just... It's good when the history is referenced, because it's annoying when it isn't.
Yeah.
And it was nice to have a character point out something that happened, in the past, that probably a lot of keyboard warriors out there were about to say, well, Daisy, Sarah, you massive hypocrite. So, yeah.
I know, but being a hypocrite is like a normal human state of being. There is not a single person in this world who is not a hypocrite. I'm sorry.
No, I know, totally. Okay,
and it
so
will be in a way that you wouldn't even consider, but somebody else will call you out on it.
we had a
That's
bit.
just the state of being.
Yeah, totally. Bethany goes to Victoria Gardens later. She finds Daisy there, and they go back to a pub for an attempted civil conversation. And Bethany's
Attempted civil war.
yeah, almost. Bethany says, "Look, I know how this all made you feel." She asks her. She basically is asking, how likely is the baby to be Daniel's? And Daisy's like, I just slept with him once, and then he kind of spurned me because I wanted to get back with him, and he didn't want to. It was all very messy. And Bethany says, "Look, me and him are never going to get over this. My life's a mess. I'm off to
going
London.
to London.
See ya, ta-ra." Yeah,
Nothing
knapsack
bad
on my
happens
back.
in London.
Yeah. Okay, so that was fun story. I think. Well, how long's it got left in it? You reckon? Week, 2 weeks?
Yeah, I really don't know. I can't see. I mean, why didn't Bethany just go today? So
Well-
something else is going to happen, isn't it? And-
Oh, storyline wise, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, in real life, I suppose you can't judge Corrie on real life, because when
No, of
in
course
Coronation
not.
Street, when someone decides to sell up and go somewhere, they're off by the end of the
You
week.
can't ever tell whether they're going to go today or like next week. But Bethany, because
I don't feel that there's much more that needs to happen.
No, I know, that's what I
really.
mean. That makes me think maybe there will be another twist or something.
Yeah.
And then she'll go after that, because it just seems very clear. Like, we know Lucy Fallon's going on maternity leave. The character said she's going to London, and now she's broken up with her boyfriend, and she's literally standing outside her house with a bag, boxes of her belongings. Why didn't she just get on the tram?
Yeah.
So what will happen? I don't know.
Maybe Monday she will just leave.
Yeah, maybe they're just going to have a farewell dinner or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Farewell pap
I
dinner.
forgot, I maybe didn't write this down, or maybe we'll find the note appear somewhere else, but there was the bit where at the end of the episode Daisy gets her DNA test results through, wasn't there?
Yes, she does.
Jenny
She
comes into
says-
the back of the Rovers and's like, what's the deal then? Who's the daddy? And Daisy has deleted the email because she
Right.
just doesn't want to know.
So here's the question.
That
Did
sucked
she
a bit.
actually delete it?
Well, did she
she
delete
lying?
it, or did she delete it and it's actually not deleted and it's just in a junk box ready to be fully
Stumbled
deleted?
across.
Because if I was Jenny,
I'd go and look.
I'd snoop.
I would.
Yeah,
It's too important not to know.
it's too important. It's too juicy in terms of gossip,
Yeah,
especially
no.
if I'm Jenny. If there was a chance, I'd want to know. I think Daisy was just taking cues from the jurors in Lauren's case this week. Like, I could find out, but I'm not going to find out now.
It just
It's
fe-
not
it
like
felt
she's
very-
never going to find out, is it?
It felt very silly, and like it felt like I'm going to prolong the storyline kind of thing.
But in a week that had, a good number of revelations in,
Yeah,
this
we
would have been
didn't
a nice...
necessarily need it.
We didn't need it, but then equally it would have been a nice cherry on the top.
I think, to be honest with you, this feels very much to me like the problem with technology that's ruining stories that happens in horror movies. And at the beginning of every single horror movie, they're like, "Oh, my phone's got no signal."
Yeah.
Because how do you explain why they don't just call for help? Like, this DNA test that you can have on, an unborn child ruins every single Who's the Daddy.
I think we've talked about that in the past, because it used to be that you had a Who's the Daddy storyline.
You'd
You got to
have to
wait till
wait.
the baby is born, and now it's the who's
It
the daddy
ruins.
can't really happen.
I mean,
thanks, science.
So do scientists think about these things when they do it? You know, we saw Jurassic Park. Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Well, luckily they have decided not to do that with dinosaurs. Otherwise, they'd be tearing up and down Coronation Street, destroying
find
the
out
place.
who the parents of the dinosaurs are?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but your parents actually died 50 million years ago.
I would also say with this DNA test thing, surely Daniel has a right to know, doesn't he? Or does, he was the one that got tested.
Really,
he got tested.
Does he not have any...
Does he not get an email that says it? Maybe she doesn't know. Maybe that's what will happen. Daniel will come and see her on Monday and go, "Go on, how about them results, eh?"
I don't know enough about it. You'd think that, I don't know.
Or
is it GDPR?
Oh wow, GDPR maybe because he might.
That's a data protection law in this country, by the way. If you're not from the UK.
It was Daisy that needed to kind of ask for the test, wasn't it? Because she wants to find out who the baby's dad is.
I'd be furious
So is it only her that gets the results? But if I was Daniel and I thought there was a chance that we could have known, but then.
I'd be furious
I suppose
if I was either of these people.
He can't independently now go to the hospital and say, "Can I have a test again?" Or
surely you need the permission of both parties to access the information, but you don't need the permission of both parties to say, I don't want this information to be revealed.
I would just
say, because if she withdraws consent, then it's not he can't access it.
I would just say, what benefit is it to Daisy that she doesn't know? Surely she would be wondering and worrying. And I know she's like, well, both of the dads are both the scumbags, it doesn't matter. But come on, you'd want to know, wouldn't you? You would not be able to help yourself. You'd be kicking yourself if you've actually deleted that email for good.
It's really bad timing as well. It's really chaotic timing, because if it was Daniel's baby, she could get back together with him now.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
She could have a relationship with both of these men. They've both come to her and said.
She's savvy enough to know that he's not necessarily worth it. And Daniel. I think she loves him, but she's seen enough that he's just unreliable. He's too much of a flake.
But when it comes to like the support of family, I'd rather have the Barlows on my side than the Winter Browns.
Yes, I guess there is that, isn't there?
I mean, Kit's probably the most together member of that family, and he's a mess.
It was interesting that he had that change of heart at the end of the day.
But
I would hate to see Kit and Daisy end up as a couple.
No,
they do not work at all for me.
It's completely believable. I mean, speaking of families, I think that the Barlows are way more stable, but maybe I think the Winter Browns more lovely, more loving and caring, but sometimes in a destructive way, because I think I don't think I'd want Bernie to be involved in my life at all if I was Daisy, because
gosh, no,
she would be.
That's to talk about a mother-in-law
really
from hell. Not that there's a wedding or anything, but yeah.
I would think Bernie would be. I would love Bernie to be my friend. I'd love her to be a work colleague. I think she's great, but as a grandma-in-law, I'd do a big no thanks.
Yeah. Anyway, so that was a great story. Quiz was a whole lot of fun. I liked on the quiz we got glimmers of the Brian and Mary romance as well, didn't we? I don't know whether they're going back to that, because didn't they were arguing over their team name. He wanted to be called the Be Afraids and she wanted to be called the Hail Marys, and then they ended up on different teams. I'm wondering whether they're going to revisit that. If they're going to do it, just got on do it. It is basically what I'd say.
I know this is like the longest drawn out romance, since Mavis and Derek.
Except I don't think people care quite as much.
No,
really. They just need a Victor Pendlebury in there to,
I tell you
what, things up a bit.
If he buys cutlery for someone else, then just dump him, Mary.
Right. Anyway, great stuff there. Very excited to see what happens with this next. This is a cracking story.
Yeah, I'm enjoying this. Now.
The court. No,
okay.
The court case, on the whole, Lauren's court case, the battered briefcase, was well done. And again, I've seen criticism online saying that these the briefs on both sides, or whatever you call them, I never know the right words, were very overdoing it and being massively over dramatic, and there were scenes of characters speaking out of turn where they would surely be shut down. It didn't really bother me. I enjoyed the court scenes.
Because we're ignorant.
Yeah, totally. I enjoyed the court scenes right until, I think, the end, which was a bit of a flub. The actual reveal of it. I was
Okay.
surprised when it happened so soon. But Monday was still good. Do you want to go over Monday's drama first?
It's really difficult because I have my thoughts about when things should be realistic, and I have my thoughts about when it's okay to just, use artistic
the
license.
drums.
And it's definitely going to be different in every person according to your experience of these things in real life.
It's
and
also the characters that are involved really make a difference. If you're already feeling down on a character, then or in a story, you're more likely to be nitpicky about how much dramatic license you'll allow. But that's contrary to the fact that we don't really like Lauren, and this storyline was at last. This is one of my favourite bits of the Lauren story.
Lauren's such a difficult character.
But she's out now, spoiler alert. She has actually smiled this week on more than one occasion. So I am perfectly willing to give her a fresh chance. I will give people chances again and again and again on this programme. So let's see where she goes to after this. What happened
Right,
this
so
week?
Frankie's still sick and he's still got
Frankie.
aplastic anemia.
Yes.
And we still don't know whether the baby that Dee Dee's carrying will come to term or even be a match.
No, there was a brief reference to her pregnancy this week, wasn't there? Because she's buttoning up her blazer and it's a bit tight round the tum. So I think there's only so much time that she's going to be able to keep this pregnant secret.
Well, she's only told her family and Lauren, and Max knows.
I bet she's spitting feathers. I bet she was like, I was going to unveil it at a quiz and Daisy stole my thunder. What am I going to do now?
Yep. If a main character who's a woman says she won't have sex before marriage, what are the odds she'll be pregnant within the year? 100%. Correct.
I think that Dee Dee needs to reveal this at church. Go up to communion. Just the bread, thanks.
Do you have any pregnant lady wine?
Anyway,
Right.
go on.
Do you have any non-alcoholic Jesus?
Do you have any non-alcoholic Prosecco that I can
Yeah,
take to represent the
got
blood
this-
of our Lord and Saviour?
We've got this delicious rosé from Waterford's. Okay, right. So Lauren is worried about Frankie.
When isn't she?
And the guard, it says, don't
What a
worry,
good
he's
mum
going to
she
get
is.
checked out. And she's like, right, I've got to go. She tells Frankie, I've got to go to court and I'll be back soon, I promise.
Yes.
And if you're a mum, is this more? This must be more, emotional for you to, or are.
Oh, what if a viewer is a mum?
If you're watching this and you have a baby, is this going to
may
make
hit
you
you
like Lauren
differently.
more?
I think that's what they were appealing to. Speaking
Well-
of Frankie and the Traitors also using that "I'm a mother"
I
line
know,
in
on,
last night's episode.
On Lauren, the anime.
Yeah. Not that Leanne either.
No.
So many character name crossovers between Corrie and the Traitors.
If Abby was at the vets and you had to go to court.
The cat Abby, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah, our cat, who's also a crossover name. That would affect me more. If she was there if it was David
Right,
and David
on
the
that,
dog,
I get it.
okay, and he's like going, oh sorry, my prince, my young boy, I have to leave you to go and do something. I'd be like, oh, that is heartbreaking actually.
That would be heartbreaking if she was leaving a little kitten at the vets. Yeah, I get it. Oh, Lauren,
One
I've got
day,
you
do you
on all
reckon
this time.
AI will be able to insert something to kind of get you to emote in some way?
Yeah, maybe they
I've got,
automatically adapt what's happening on screen to really get that every ounce of
It scans your
compassion
brain.
from the readers. Yeah.
So how when you play some PC games you can get mods and you add so you could have the cat mod on Coronation Street, and instead of having children they all just have cats. And you're like, oh god, I love Hairy Platt, he's my favourite, he's so cute, he's a little tabby. And then you'd be like, hang on a minute, she says that kitten is Kits, but he's come out and he's ginger, it can't be Kits. It can't be Kits.
We can dream.
I think it's important, science, forget about all this paternity test, DNA nonsense, and whatever aplastic anemia is. Why don't we sort out some proper science and do this?
Yeah.
And
TV
also
mods.
bring back some characters from the past, bring back Ina Sharples. Maybe we can, instead of fannying around with dinosaurs DNA, why don't we bring back Ina Sharples? Can you just imagine Jurassic Park, but it's just old characters from
Hatching out the
television
eggs.
shows, and they're crowding around going, "Oh look, it's Minnie Goldwell. She's like, oh, what's happening?
Richard Attenborough there, crouching. Come on, come on, Dennis, out you get.
Yeah. And he's going.
Anyway, look, Roy's on the stand later.
I'm
and
sorry.
Roy in court is always fun because he's just so Royish with his answers, isn't he?
Well, he's giving a character witness statement about how great Lauren is, but unfortunately, the prosecutor starts to talk to him about the fact that he was in prison recently and that it was Lauren's fault, and she kind of put the blame. It wasn't actually her fault, really.
It was no. He was right. The guy was saying,
"No, I know.
You stayed in prison for such a long
Because
time
of Lauren.
because Lauren wasn't coming out and saying,
and she,
I'm
yeah,
fine,
and it's
actually."
like here's what Lauren does. She covers the truth, and she hides things, which is that's a very, very good point. And so
he's not wrong.
Roy's like, whoops, you got to step down now, Roy. And he says, I may have inadvertently misled the court. Lauren's not a violent person. She's a decent human being. She's a good soul.
This is when Roy gets the chance, probably unrealistically, to deliver a massive monologue about how awesome Lauren is.
Whenever this happens in court, the jury gets told to leave. The person gets told to shut up, and if they won't shut up, then the jury has to leave because this isn't evidence.
Well, the judge did allow it, didn't she?
I'll allow it.
Yeah.
I'm just going to bang my gavel.
I do like drama, says the judge.
The judge is like, I live for this.
But then we get a unexpected appearance from the gallery, don't we?
Well, Bree stands up, who is the she's not a cellmate, but she's in the mother and baby unit.
Oh yeah, you're right.
With her, and she's been hanging around maliciously.
Yeah, since Lauren spurned her last week and told her that she would kill her.
Yes, and so Bree stands up and says, if she's not violent, how come she attacked me last night?
She's got her arm in a sling, hasn't she?
And then Lauren immediately, she gets her spade and begins to dig and shouts, "Oh, I wouldn't do that!" Ah. Bree gets dragged off by the guards. The jury gets told, disregard that. I wouldn't be able to.
I don't know how anyone can.
You cannot, can you?
No.
All that you can do is pretend that you've forgotten it happened and not bring it up when you deliberate.
Yeah.
Because if you bring it up, then the whole thing's gone, isn't it? Mm. Anyway, so Gus follows after.
Oh yeah,
Bree,
the Deerins are up there as well.
And wants to know what's happening. And then Lauren's brief comes out, sees Dee Dee, and wants to speak with Bree. And then someone gets told that they've just had a call from the prison, and it's Frankie. He's a bit poorly. He's got a high temperature, and Lauren wants to go to be with him. And her lawyer's like, "Well, no, you can't. It doesn't work like that. You're still in court."
So Dee Dee at this point, she's smelt her out, hasn't she? She very handily was there when this was happening, or was she due to be on? No, she gave her evidence last week, didn't she, Dee Dee? So she thinks they're synced up with Gus and Bree.
Max is up next talking about what happened on the viaduct, and the prosecutor's like, how many times did he get hit on the head? If it was, how do you know if it was happening behind you? And he says, look, I heard what happened. It was only one blow, and it doesn't matter how many times he was hit because she was trying to protect me. And then the lawyer brings up that he's like, aren't you in trouble? Weren't you in trouble about terrorist stuff? Max is like, well, it wasn't, it didn't actually do anything. And he's like, was Lauren in this terrorist gang of white supremacists? And he's like, well, yeah, that's how we met.
Shared interests,
And then the prosecutor is like, well, you two conspired to murder innocent people back then, so why wouldn't you do it now? And Max is like, Lauren's a good mom. Ah! And he gets rolled up again.
Yes.
Excellent.
Things are not looking good for Lauren at this point.
So Lauren takes the stand, and she is distracted because Frankie is sick and she's not in the mood for all this. And
yeah, she's just kind of given up, isn't she?
And she's being asked about Joel's tracker on the phone, and she says it was in case he came looking for her.
The prosecutor is basically saying,
you tracked him,
used it so
you
could
him,
chase after him and murder him. Yeah, a cold, calculated attack on Joel Deering for no other reason than revenge. This was murder. He was a little bit over the top, but I think that they probably are.
I like to
think that in real life, you've got to be a bit theatrical if you're doing this.
The thing about it, actually, is that in this country, because we don't allow cameras into the courtroom except for the verdict now, in certain cases, we don't actually have any idea how you act, do we?
No, unless you've been on the jury.
Well, I like I said, I watched a court case, and they were actually quite antagonistic.
I don't remember from when I did my jury duty. I don't remember much about it.
But you didn't do any. You didn't do a murder. Mine was a murder trial.
Yeah.
And they were very, very aggressive.
Yeah, Gemma's mum's got jury duty coming up soon,
Yeah,
hasn't
I know.
she?
She's a bit nervous.
Your
I'm
mum is
excited
gonna
for her.
love it.
She's wanted to do it her whole life.
Yeah, and how old is she? She's
I wouldn't like to
70
say.
odd.
I wouldn't like to say.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, and she's not gonna be able to tell us.
I know.
Sad.
I know. I really want to know. This is why I'm no good with this stuff. Anyway, so Lauren's like, it wasn't planned. I had to do something to protect Max. I didn't want revenge. I just wanted it to be over. He was trying to murder somebody in front of me. And he's like, well, stop going on about your baby because it's boring. And then she gets her, the spotlight appears on her and she does her little impassioned speech where she's kind of like, I don't know, is this supposed to be speaking for the working class or something?
It's speaking for blonde, scally girls all over Weatherfield.
She's like, you're stone cold, you're arrogant, you don't know anything about me, I had a terrible upbringing. And then I met this amazing guy who made me feel special. And then I realised what he was really like. And she does... It didn't work on me, I'm afraid.
No.
Didn't really work on me. Because I don't think we have any sympathy for her anyway.
There's not.
When she said this speech, we're supposed to be going, yeah.
That's exactly what we are supposed to be going. Oh, Lauren, you're the best.
But really, I've not seen anything good out of Lauren ever. I don't feel like Lauren is a girl who, were it not for circumstance, would be a Disney princess. Do you? I think she'd always be a Mardy cow.
I think so. And
circumstances have been terrible to her, and she's there because of those circumstances. But I don't think it lets her off the hook.
I think I still honestly do think that having rewatched the scene on top of the viaduct, really, 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 she shouldn't be sent down for murder.
No.
And at the end of the day, this is what I thought about the number of times that the guy was hit over the head.
And it's a red
Did
herring,
that count for anything in the end?
No.
It didn't matter. We didn't see any of the jury deliberation. I mean, we never do on Coronation Street, did we? But we were, had all this evidence.
That would be interesting, though, wouldn't it?
That would be interesting. We had all this evidence that was seemingly stacking up against Lauren, and she literally lied to the court about how many times she hit him over the head.
But nobody cared.
It didn't matter in the end. She's got away with lying to the court. If she'd have said, I hit him twice, would the jury have felt differently? I don't know. I don't really think it made any difference. Because, they couldn't have rewatched the scene. But if she'd have said, I hit him to get him off Max, then he ran towards us and I hit him again. Really, if somebody's going to convict you, if somebody's going to, let you off for doing it once, they'd say they'd let you off for doing it twice if you said, well, he came at me again.
This is a really weird example of the facts in court being far more incriminating than they are in reality, but she still gets away with it.
Yeah.
Because all of the things that they're accusing her of that make her look guilty, we know what the reason is. And it hasn't really panned out in court that it sounds that innocent, does it?
No.
Like, the prosecutor's doing a really good job of making everything seem so suspicious, and her character is so bad, and her history is so bad, and the fact she had a tracker on her phone and that's how she found him, it's all so bad, but somehow, even after all of that, she still gets away with it. Even though she didn't actually deserve to go down for it, it just is it's a really weird way of...
Yeah. What was it that made the jury say, let's get her off?
Honestly, if I'd listened to all this evidence, I would have found her guilty. But they did have their problem where they didn't have a unanimous verdict.
Did they say, well, she sounds like she did only hit him once, so let's not... I don't know.
She hit him twice. I know. No. If I was on the jury, I would say the fact is that we know that he was hit twice. Like, the guy, I believe the guy on the stand who said, my report was initially one thing, but then after reviewing the evidence, I can correct that and say he was hit twice. I would take that as a fact over anyone saying I only hit him once, because in the heat of the moment, you wouldn't remember whether you hit him once or not. One thing I was going to say, I made a couple of mistakes in the last episode I was going to correct. One of them is that you can get married outside here. Thank you for correcting me.
After that rant.
So I'm glad
Since 2022 you've been able to get married outside, yeah.
And the other thing was about the shiv that Matty had, I would have bet £100 that it was literally a standing knife. I would have bet money on it. I was so sure. I had it in my head exactly what it looked like. When I watched that scene back, it was clearly some kind of like mutant stick with a blade on the end of it. This goes to show you, Elizabeth.
We're not always right, are we?
Elizabeth Loftus was right about eyewitnesses being completely useless and pointless.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I wouldn't have found her. I would have found her guilty, and also her history. I don't think you're normally supposed to bring it up.
I think it's pretty irrelevant for the case.
What?
I think. No,
right. Okay. The other thing,
if everything is being, everything that went on between her and Joel, I don't think that a non-white supremacist would have had a different reaction to it. I don't think any of her actions in the past 12 months were driven by the fact that she used to be in a far right gang.
Look, this is an incredibly controversial area of discussion, because you can say all you want about being judged on the crime that you actually are accused of, which I think is fair enough. But when there's a pattern of criminal behaviour in your past and you're being accused of something that you plausibly could have done,
I don't get the impression that she did a whole lot of illegal business herself when she was in the group. I think that she was just in it, and it was her dad and his mates that were the ones.
Making excuses
Yeah,
now.
maybe I am. It's
sorry,
part
Elon
of
Musk.
my attempt to rehabilitate Lauren in my brain, because I think we're probably going to be sticking with her for a little while. And I don't like not liking characters.
No, I want to like everybody. But this is the interesting thing about her. Like, what does the future hold for this character? Is she going to get up to more violent stuff?
Yeah, I think if she were to do it again, I'd be like, I gave you a chance, Lauren.
But then, now.
But if she turns her life around, maybe.
The victim who suffers the time that she is, she's free to do the same thing again. That victim's blood's on your hands then, isn't it? Because you were like, oh, well, give her another chance. What, to murder someone?
No, I'm just too forgiving.
Well, anyway, so she's like had this big blowout about how wrong she's been by life, the universe and everything.
Yeah.
The prosecutor's completely unbothered, carries on riling her up a bit more, and she eventually says, it makes me so happy that he's dead.
Joel, that is, not the
Joel.
baby.
No.
Yeah, an awful lot was looking really bad. But it was Dee Dee that came on later. I thought it was last week that it was Wednesday that Dee Dee was questioned, wasn't it? That's why she was there.
I'm glad this happened before the sentencing for the very big case we've had about that kid, the stabbing.
Oh,
because he said very similar things about his victims.
Did he?
There would have been an outcry if Coronation Street had had shown this after that happened. There would have been newspaper headlines about it, but nobody could have known that he had said that.
No. Anyway, look, what's going on? Dee Dee's on the stand later.
So she's on the stand, and first of all, it's the defence, and she's like, oh yeah, she's abused her whole life. It's really sad. And also, Bree, the person who did the outburst that the jury's been told not to pay any attention to, but I'm bringing it up again. She was bribed by Gus. So here you go. Here's an allegation, completely unsubstantiated, of another crime that's going on simultaneously to the court case that's happening. And the judge is like, oh, I don't care about laws. They're boring. Tell me more. And Dee Dee says that I've got evidence. This is so silly. I've got evidence that yesterday Bree signed a lease on an expensive flat that was owned by Gus, and that is a bribe that she, when she gets out, she's gonna live there.
And Anthea, no, Bree is out. Bree's not in prison now. Anthea doesn't know anything about this, does she? She's like, what on earth are you playing at?
And Dee Dee's like, obviously, Gus does not believe that Lauren's guilty, otherwise he wouldn't have set her up like this to make her look guilty, and Lauren's got no trust in the police. Why would she have reported Joel's death? She's had nasty man abusing her all her life, and on the night of Joel's death, she was simply trying to survive.
She did.
And the judge is like, oh, spill the tea, sister.
I think this is, again, because we've got Dee Dee, who is a relatively well-liked character. If she's there singing Lauren's praises, that's, again, us supposed to be going, yeah, go Dee Dee, go Dee Dee. And I'm sure that lots of viewers were.
But Just because you'll be treated badly doesn't mean you can't do bad things.
Yeah.
And also, this is another case of like somebody who really, really, really should know better, exactly like Alia, how can be completely ignorant about the law and how it works. Like Alia going, oh yeah, impersonating a solicitor is just a bit of a laugh.
Yeah, over to Evelyn, yeah.
Yeah.
How Evelyn's getting on.
She's probably... I bet she's got a really nice exercise book with the date underlined and a nice title.
Is she beer pong champion yet?
Probably.
Yeah.
If it's Brandy, she's probably in the hospital now. Right, so Lauren and Max are with Frankie. He's got an infection. He's on antibiotics. Yeah, she's left the court now. Everything. The judge is like, that's enough. That's enough. I think we've got enough now.
She's like, I'm sick of this flaming trial. All I care
I'm
about
bored
is
of this storyline.
Just want Frankie back.
And he's like, don't worry. You've got me and we've got Frankie and everything will be fine as long as we're together.
Yeah, but she did kind of dump him last week, didn't she? They kind of... I think they kind of...
Didn't stick.
They didn't stick. By Friday, at the end of it, they were planning their happy future together.
Maybe Gus can rent them a luxury flat.
So Wednesday came along, and this was when the verdict was actually delivered, and I was just a bit surprised that they didn't drag it on for longer. But I guess who else did they need to speak to? Maybe there wasn't anybody. No,
and I don't know how this happens normally in a court, but I always thought that the person who spoke last was the person who was accused.
I don't know. But they just had a lot of scenes of the summing up, didn't they? And the camera was... I quite like what they did. They had the defence one talking, and the camera pans behind somebody's head, and it comes out the other side, and then it's the prosecutor. I don't mind that. I quite enjoy that technique that gets used fairly frequently on the show.
So when we were watching this on the sofa, I was like paused and I'm like, right, what do you think? Who do you think?
Oh yeah.
Do you think it's guilty or not guilty? And we both decided that we thought it was going to be not guilty. So it was quite a shock when I pressed play again and the jury were like, we haven't come to a decision. We can't decide. It's too confusing.
That would have been great if they didn't just decide later.
I know, they should have left it another day, really.
Maybe, but yeah, what dramatic...
Well, it did make us go, ooh.
It did, but then it didn't have any payoff. It wasn't that was good. I wasn't expecting that, and now the story's gone in this direction. It literally was. It was just not ready to tell you that, but we'll tell you in a bit. When we tell you now, we'll tell you now. That's kind of how it felt like.
It really did feel like it would have been so much more fascinating to have known what the jury was saying. And I know, look, if you're going to throw all reality out of the window, why not have a resident of the street on the jury so we could have heard what they were saying?
One that just doesn't happen to know Lauren.
Yeah, wouldn't be allowed, obviously, I don't think.
No, surely not.
Well, no, being geographically close to somebody doesn't mean you should disqualified for the jury, does it? If somebody up the road was up for murder, I wouldn't have anything to say about it.
But they're a tight-knit community on that Coronation Street, aren't they?
But, yeah. Because
that would have
been
good
interesting.
Point, actually.
Has anyone been on the jury?
Has there ever been a story on Coronation Street where it's just the characters on the jury? I really don't know.
Why not do that? That's a good story idea.
Yeah, I think maybe we've heard people saying they've had jury duty, and in my head I got a feeling like that maybe Norris did it once.
We've heard gossip about what they saw.
That could be really quite interesting. Oh, there you go, anyway. Corey. There's one for the future.
So yeah, so this would have been interesting if we had known why didn't they come to a decision? What was the sticking point there? Because there were many sticking points, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So Dee Dee goes to visit Lauren and says, "Look, the judge has said go back and have another think. I'm not gonna.
Oh yeah, Lauren's not in the court at this point, is she? She's decided she's too flaming well fed up with it. But Dee Dee says, "No, come on.
You have to go in, don't you?
Come back."
Well, Dee Dee then hears they've got a verdict and she tells Lauren that she probably should go back for it. But I thought you were compelled now legally to be there.
I don't know.
Anyway, so they come back and she's in the dock and the jury's like, nah, she didn't do it. Not guilty.
I thought that they were doing a bit of a trick on us then, because that was when it was all a bit woozy and dreamy and special effecty, doesn't it? And it felt very much to me like we were getting another Mason stabbing situation where it was guilty and then it would say not guilty, and then you go back and that was all a fantasy. It really looked like that's what they were going with, and it's like, oh. And then it was a double damp squib, because I was like, oh, I kind of wanted her to be sent down, really, even though she probably didn't really deserve it. I kind of would have liked that just because it would have been fun. And then I was like, oh, but maybe they're changing it. Oh, no, they're not. They're not.
This is the danger of doing something like they did with Mason's storyline, is that you start to not trust. Like,
Yeah, you're
Coronation
absolutely
Street
right.
becomes an unreliable narrator, which it never has been, really.
No, especially with the amount that they're doing this non-linear storytelling or different storytelling or funny effects or dream sequences, hauntings.
It is disruptive.
If it happened very infrequently, you wouldn't suspect it. But I do worry that that's going to be... Yeah, we're going to be on edge and think that we're being tricked a little bit more than they actually are.
Just to be clear, I'm not criticising Crowe for doing that storyline, because I thought it was really effective the way they did it. I really enjoyed watching it. It's just an unintended side effect, isn't it?
Yeah.
So anyway, she's been found not guilty, not innocent, like Dee Dee said earlier.
Oh yeah,
which
Dee
really
Dee
wound
literally
me
said
up.
it. I think she said twice innocent
She
rather
did.
than not guilty.
You would never say that, would you?
I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, but I think not.
You would use correct terminology.
Yes.
Anyway, Max and Dee Dee are like, hooray, let's go to the cafe. But I'm still worried about Frankie. And not only is he sick, but I'm worried that the Deering's going to take custody of him and put him in a luxury flat.
Got to tie up that little
Here's
loose
my
end,
question. Does Bree still get the flat?
Oh, yeah.
I'll be fuming.
Well, she signed the lease on it, hasn't she, already?
Well, he's going to have to pay to get out of that if he doesn't want her to go and live there.
Has it got a 14-day cool-down clause?
Well, no, because that would be hers, not for him, not for the landlord.
Well, who knows how it works.
All these landlords, they're evil, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, later on, Max, very chuffed, joins Lauren in Frankie's room, and they're like, again, let's remind everybody we're going to stay together forever.
I won't be sad to see the back of that hospital room, will you?
I want this baby to just...
Get him out of hospital, take him home, let's never see that place again. Give the
There's
poor
just
guard on
nothing
the door a
about
break.
a sick baby storyline that's...
No.
You know, we say, oh, I'm fed up with medical stuff. I didn't even really think about Frankie as part of the medical storyline stuff, but it is just... It's been going on...
Ever since he was born.
Obviously since he was born, the poor kid.
Yeah. But
he's got no, I don't know who this baby is.
No, I think it's because we're not that invested in the character of Lauren. I think if it was a character...
But who is?
No, but if it was a character, if the mum was a character that we really cared about, I think we'd care a lot more about Frankie.
Yeah.
Anyway, Friday
Having
rolls
a baby
around.
changes you, doesn't it?
It does. What happened on Friday?
Right, so Lauren's told Frankie's responding well to antibiotics and he can go home soon. Hooray!
That's just where she smiles. Everything's turning up. Everything's turning up roses for Lauren now.
Then we get Mrs. Deering, Anthea, turns up at the hospital, talks to Lauren and Max and says, sorry about this. What Joel did was wrong.
Oh, this was weird, wasn't it? We were like, is she tricking them?
This was very weird because where's Gus, right? Why was she by herself?
Yeah.
She says, I wanted, I thought if you went to prison it would lessen my grief.
I wonder...
I'm sorry.
Gus turned up and kind of pinched the baby the other day, didn't he?
And then she says, I'm going to stop this custody case. Goodbye, Frankie. Be good for your mum. I'm leaving the show. I'm never coming back.
Yeah, but she was really, really over-egging it, her grief. And I didn't buy...
It did feel like...
It felt fake. It felt like she wasn't actually apologising, but I don't know whether that was just, the way it turned out.
I don't know how you could listen in court to all of the evidence about how your son was killed and come to the conclusion that you were wrong to think that Lauren did it on purpose, because the evidence was that she did, and I'm surprised she got found not guilty. And if I was Anthea, not for narratively speaking.
I
but
think
from the evidence,
I think I would have said not guilty.
I would have said guilty. She hit him twice.
This is why they couldn't come to a unanimous decision.
I wouldn't have backed down. I tell you what, that would have been stretched out for weeks. I've been like, I got nothing else to do. And you're paying me to be here, and I get lunch. So,
still saying guilty.
Who's gonna go against that?
Well, the jury in the end didn't even have a unanimous decision, did they? It was just a majority.
No, because I was on the end of the table with my arms folded, going, no, she did it. She did it. How can you sit here and say that she didn't do it? She hit him twice. And she lied. And the other guy was.
So is this just basically getting... It feels like we've reached the end of the story, doesn't it, with this? Does. And this is just, Deering said they're gone, they're sorry, we never see from them again. I wouldn't mind if we never saw from them again. But in real life, they probably would be hanging around because that is their grandchild.
Money to this child.
Yeah.
Despite everything, right, no matter what you think about whether she would have forgiven Lauren or let it go or whatever... I would still be incredibly concerned that my grandchild was being raised by two children that don't know what they're doing and don't have any money. At the very least, I would give them money and support and, babysitting. They're going to need so much help, aren't they? And she's like, anyway, bye-bye.
It might not be, but it kind of felt that this was an exit.
Well, it did, because it was like on Friday we're like, right, so you've been found not guilty. What else is your problem? Frankie's sick. No, he's not sick anymore. What, the Deerings are after you? No, they're not after you
split
anymore.
up with your boyfriend.
Oh, you're back together again.
They've got the whole future to look forward to, both of them.
Yes, I love you. We love each other. Let's hug and talk about our future.
The only other reason that I thought that it felt a bit like an ending for the story is, I don't know whether you saw this, but on Friday, I think it was yesterday, Kate Fitton put up a fairly lengthy video of herself in her car. Did you see this?
No.
So she's sitting in a car, she's got her specs on.
Nice car
There's
shot.
rain coming down, and she just puts out a video, and it was a really, really nicely done one. And this is the thing to remember. I have, as much as I don't really enjoy Lauren, I have got no beef whatsoever with Kate Fitton, and I think that she's shown time and time again during this story that she is a very talented actress, and she's doing
this perfectly.
absolutely brilliantly with the material that she's given.
Lauren,
I just don't like the material, some of it, but yeah, Kate.
It's so believable.
Yeah, exactly. It's really believable.
I believe Lauren is a real person because of the way she acts and what she does and the way she reacts to things. She's a much more realistic, two-dimensional character than three-dimensional character than almost all of the other characters, because she kind of like acts against her own self-interest so often in a really impulsive way, like a young girl would do who'd been raised in an incredibly abusive environment.
Yeah, exactly. And anyway, Kate's there, kind of, she's just lovely, and she's saying thank you to everybody, thanks for all the messages of support, thanks for the supporting Lauren ones, thank you for all the comments about the scripts and the performance and everything. And she's like, oh, this story's been, she says, oh, this story is now at an end, and I came when I was given to me, and I thought, oh, you know what a big responsibility this would be. And
it is massive for somebody who's so new.
Yeah, somebody who's new, somebody who's really young like she is as well. She did absolutely brilliantly, and I do want to underline how much of a fantastic job Kate has done with this.
Imagine
and I watched the video and I was like, yeah, good on you, actually.
How young she is, and being the face of a television show as influential and popular and as long running as Coronation Street, and being told you're the face of our main story for like a year. She's done a bloody amazing job. She has. So I'm glad that she put that video out, and I'm glad that she. I'm glad. Yeah, she's got lots of fans. I'm sure she's seen a lot of negativity, but I hope that she doesn't dwell on it, because the people that get confused about not liking a character and thinking the actress is bad are just not in the same. No, I think that a lot of people that are ragging on Lauren, it literally is the character. I hope that she. But it just needs to have a bit of a rest now, because I don't think that's going to happen. We we moan about her on the podcast, but we don't put out things that she's necessarily going to see. And I don't want anybody to. I mean, this is, we don't like put this on a tape and post it to people. Yeah, hey everyone, listen to this brilliant clip from this episode of the podcast. Here's us slagging off Lauren for a bit, Lauren. It's just how we feel about it. But well, look, it must be very draining for her to have this level of negativity put from various corners of the internet. Even if she knows that it's the character and not her, it can't be nice. Can't be easy at all. But again, like we said, everybody's entitled to their opinion. It's just like how do you decide to voice it? Yeah, exactly. Right, okay, so let's move on to the Leantics Roadshow. And I enjoyed the trial stuff, but I thought it was a bit of a flub. This was totally more juicy. This is just amazing. This is Leanne just completely reverting, isn't it, to her? And because every so often I'll see a clip of her when she was younger through research, when she was like 17, 18 or what? Or no, just like almost any time in her life, apart from, I think when she got with Peter was when she started becoming worthy. Yeah, I think you're right. When she started having a child to look after. And then she went out with Cal. Yeah, and she lost that edge, didn't she? She tried to sort of put it all behind her, but she was just like this so much when she was younger. And it's just fun kind seeing that same behaviour from someone who's now mid-40s. Reverting to... just completely like, what's the point? Why grow? Why be mature? Why do anything? I don't get the criticism that Leanne's getting online for this. People saying, oh, she's so horrible. She's just acting like a child. It's like, isn't it great? Yes, it's the same as loads of other really, like, Becky did the same sort of thing. So did Kylie. So did Tracy. We love a petty bitch on Coronation Street, even more so when they get up to stunts. Yeah.
It's been absolutely brilliant. So it starts off the week. She's given Amy a check for 12 grand from a
Compo.
From a compo. Yeah, it's Les's compo, isn't it? That little bit of a story's gone.
Well, this was kind of interesting because this was like, you know, we said that she's been a bitch and stuff, but she starts the week off
She starts
actually
off being
doing something very
generous,
decent.
yeah.
I don't know. Did she have to do this?
I
Because
think she just didn't want it hanging over her.
no, I know, but
it was also the fact that she's kind of best mates with Tracy at the moment as well. And
oh yeah, that's true.
I don't think Tracy liked the idea
But,
of
you know,
hanging around with someone who she believed owed her
it would have
daughter a
been
lot of cash.
very easy to just keep the money.
Yeah, it would have done, but what are you going to do? Tracy joins Leanne in the cat. Well, she gets a little more cash by the end of the week, doesn't she? 'Cause she's selling up the bistro.
Oh, I was looking at businesses, wasn't I? I want to buy a business. And
Yeah.
I wanted to buy a campsite, but they're all a bit expensive.
Yes, thank goodness for that. Tracy joins Leanne in the cafe later and says, "Thanks for giving Amy the money." But yeah, they just
They're both sad
they
'cause they
both
have
sat
friends.
together. Neither of them have got any friends, and they
Wonder
decide
why.
to team up with a plan. So they stride into the bistro, and honestly, they should have made more out of this. There was only a couple of scenes in there, wasn't it? But striding into the bistro, demanding 2 rare steaks from Toya, bottle of Bordeaux. They're just sitting there delighting in winding up poor Toya, who, you know, she's not been whiter than white this past year, but she didn't deserve that. And Leanne's just being absolute bitch to her.
I was wondering
it was brilliant.
What's the significance of them having rare steaks?
Well, obviously it's, you know, I expect Toya doesn't really like
That's what I
having
mean.
to serve raw steaks.
That's what I was thinking. Like,
but it's
first of
also
all,
like we're bloodthirsty. Yeah, we're monsters.
It was
What are you going to do about it?
That's exactly the conclusion I came to. Like they want to see Toya look at the blood on the plates and pick the blood, you know, the bloody plates and put them so evil and malicious for no reason at all.
But it also represents
so
that Leanne is kind of bleeding Toya dry in that she's, you know,
well, it's
trying
expensive.
to get. Yeah, exactly.
It was such a
and trying to get her sent down for the fraud as well.
It's such a really simple, like, thing, like really kind of efficient way, that order of
symbolising,
of like showing so many different things all at once. Really clever.
So they're there just having the time of their lives. They're refusing to pay at the end of it. And Toya's like, no, you got to pay just because you went, nah, says Leanne.
Like, I own the place.
I own the place after all. I'll do it again every night if I want to.
Oh,
it
wonderful.
was brilliant. It was wonderful.
Imagine having your own steak vending machine.
Yes. Carries on into Wednesday. I don't think we saw any of Tracy on Wednesday. I think Leanne was just
Solo.
flying solo.
Riding solo, if you get it.
She was doing it by the end, wasn't she? She comes into the bistro for another free lunch. The table's reserved for someone else. And she's like, I don't know, I'll do whatever the hell I want, Nick. You can't do anything about it. Chucks the reserved to sign away, probably. And then she... then starts basically Wednesday is Leanne making her way through the men of the street, isn't it? Just trying her luck with whoever. It doesn't care who single, is part of a couple, doesn't matter.
Voracious.
Sexual
predator.
Just for fun, really.
Yeah.
So there's been a bit of a fallout between Debbie and Ronnie, which is it was at the theatre. She wanted to go to the theatre. She told Ronnie about the dates. He's like, no, you didn't. But anyway, Debbie's kind of clopped off there, leaving Ronnie there on his own in the bistro. So Leanne makes a beeline for him, starts like stroking his leg.
He's getting really uncomfortable.
He's getting very uncomfortable about it all. This is obviously when Sam and Nick come in as well. So he sees all this. Poor Sam he's just seeing his new mum, whatever, in a total path of self-destruction. And Leanne still hasn't really... She does a little bit, I think, on this episode, but she spots that maybe they've gone too far. I've got Sam to think about, but then she carries on anyway.
Yeah, she regrets the effect it's having on him, but it's not enough to make her stop, which is brilliant.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, Debbie kind of clops in and has a go at Leanne. What on earth do you think you're playing at?
Everyone's watching this. Toya, Nick, Sam, Ryan.
Public argument. It was brilliant. So Debbie's... I can't remember what she says.
There's a flea in her ear.
Yeah. I can't remember when she says it, but at one point Leanne refers to Debbie as being just 4 foot and 2 foot of that is gob or something along those lines. It was brilliant. Debbie's squaring up to her like she is. She's looking up at her, and Leanne's just smiling down at her.
Leanne was like very pleased to be slightly taller than Debbie as well, wasn't she? When she stood up and kind of like looked down at her.
Yeah, she's just loving.
She's reveling in being evil.
In it. Yeah. She's just. Debbie ends up going in the end, and Leanne's just like, I don't care. I do not fussed whatsoever. Then she moves on to.
She's an unbothered queen.
Yeah. Then she moves on to Craig, doesn't she? She starts having a go at him in the Rovers later.
There's no end to it.
She'll have anybody. She will have anybody. What larks? And Craig is very uncomfortable.
I just really loved it. I'm sorry, but I just really loved her desperate. Like, she's completely just got no shame anymore. And she was drunk the whole time, just draping herself all over everybody. And she's not been like this for so long. It's like, is this unleashed something within her? Has she been repressing this the whole time?
I just fear that at the end of the week, it's maybe over.
I know.
I think
I could have done with another week of this.
I could have done with maybe another week. It's been fun while it's lasted, but it feels like she's had a bit of a reality check by the end.
I do think Corrie's being a bit too restrained with some of these things at the moment. I get the danger of like going too far with some of it, but I always feel like I know the importance of leaving you wanting more, but I always feel like we still could have been wanting more if we'd had even just a little bit extra.
I thought that Monday they definitely could have done a lot more with Tracy and Leanne in there. But I don't know. I felt that Wednesday and Friday we got a decent enough bang for our buck. And speaking of which, great surprise at the beginning of Friday's episode. Like, we always kind of think, oh, how's the episode going to start today? He's just going to be having a chat. But Friday's episode is Leanne waking up in bed, rolling over. It's Ryan
I know.
Connor there.
I could not believe. What is he thinking?
What a twist that was. I hadn't even given it any thought.
No, I
was
really
like, Wednesday's
did not think
over. That's it. You know, she's made a pass at a couple of men, whatever. But I was caught completely off guard by that. This is one of the things that Kate Brooks said when we were at the interview, that she wanted to do things that surprised people and caught them off guard and made them go, I can't believe they did that. They did what? And we got that twice this week. Once was this. And her going to bed with Ryan didn't really
It's not earth-shattering.
No, it's not, it's not going to have any consequences. It was just there for shock value, I think.
It's not like so shocking that it's out of character either.
No, and it's not. She's not going to be pregnant with Ryan's baby or anything like that. But yeah, it was a great way to start the episode with a bang. And the other one with Daisy, with the mic.
Yes.
Did not expect that to be happening. And it's not a huge, somebody's killed somebody. How you didn't see that coming. It's not that level of surprise. Quite often when we think of twists that are held back in the synopses, it's really, really big things like death or a character comes back. But just fairly minor surprises like these two, they were really, really effective because it didn't see them coming. So it was amazing. Ryan's very chuffed with himself, but Leanne's just massively hungover, and then realises pretty sharpish that the court appearance that she's supposed to be making later that day is happening pretty soon.
Yes, so this is where she's going to court for defrauding.
Yeah.
And trying to besmirch Toya's name and get Nick involved and steal money.
So we see her later kind of huffing down the street, totally stressed out because the court's due to start anytime soon. Trying to get a taxi. Can't get a taxi.
She's late to a bus stop, but that doesn't occur to her.
No.
She's up the road from a tram stop, but
I know that. I did think that. Like, there are other ways than cars to get to the court.
I imagine there might not be a direct route.
Not to that particular one. Anyway, who comes driving down the road in a flashy red sports car but Debbie, right over a puddle, splashes right at Leanne, and then kind of gets up and gloats about it and says, "You make a move on Ronnie again, and I'll do more than half drown you." That was great. Even if unhinged bitch Leanne is over possibly for a while, I do hope that this rivalry that's been struck up between her and Debbie carries on, because it's brilliant. Debbie, when she's fired up, is so much fun to watch. These two powerhouses at each other's throats. Brilliant.
We've got Cassie versus Tracy. We've got Bethany versus Daisy. We've got Leanne versus Toya.
Yeah, it's
Leanne versus Debbie.
It is. It's the kind of the bitch fights, isn't it? It's spectacularly divine. I love it.
Whether is it incredibly sexist? Can we not have some men snipe at each other too? I can't. There's just something about it.
Yeah.
It's just so much fun to watch.
Especially with Debbie, because like she's so glamorous looking and.
I think it's just how witty. It's just witty.
Yeah.
And I think that it makes more sense coming from women because they're so interested in each other to an extent I don't think men are. And I think that the reason why women are more bitchy is that we understand each other better and we know what hurts. And I think a lot of men have quite shallow relationships where they'd be like, well, your football team sucks.
Well, it's a bit.
But mind you, that's quite devastating.
It's a bit like Tim was saying the other day after Mason's stabbing, and he was like, "Oh, well, guys just like knock 7 barrels out of each other, have a bit of a punch up, and it's over." And I feel that with these other relationships, the antagonistic relationships that you just listed, all the women, if they'd have just said, "Well, we'll have a punch up and it's over," it wouldn't have lasted quite as long. It wouldn't be as enjoyable over a long period of time. So I like these grudges that are being held, and women don't forget things, do they?
Well, I mean, saying about men having shallow relationships is not supposed to be a slight, because I know that a lot of men struggle with that fact because it's difficult to make these relationships, which is why it is really nice to see people like Tim and Kevin having their relationship talks. And who knows, maybe that will blossom into bitching.
Maybe it will.
Maybe we can all enjoy the bounty.
So, a bit of behind the scenes goss for this particular scene, because I know we posted about it on our social media last night, and people may be looking forward to hearing about it. The scene where it's not really that interesting, but if we don't mention it, it'll be people moan about why we didn't. So when we were up in Manchester at the beginning of November, we were staying in the big tower block that overlooked Coronation Street, and you see me put a load of pictures from that. So I got up on the next morning and I wanted to see if there's any filming going on, because we were so high up, because we were right very near the top. There were bits of the street that we could look down on. We still couldn't see a lot of the main bit of Coronation Street, but we had a really good view of Viaduct Street and a fair view of Rosamond Street as well. And I was just looking for any signs of life. And it's funny in the mornings when they start work there, and there's just loads of crew that are milling around doing this and that. I've got no idea what they're up to, just setting up in various ways. And one thing I noticed right in that corner by Preston's Petals and Prima Donna is there was a guy with a massive hose pipe, and he was just spraying a load of water onto the street. And I was like, what's going on there? Is there like a flood, or are they just literally cleaning the cobbles? I had to know.
We were like, is there some kind of continuity issue where it was raining yesterday and they're doing pickups?
Yeah. I kind of in the end just almost forgot thinking about it, and I wasn't looking out for it coming into watching it this week. I wouldn't have even realised,
but you're the one who...
Yeah, it was. I assume, I'm just making an assumption here that this is what we saw, because it was the same corner. They were spraying water into it, and lo and behold, yesterday's episode, Leanne gets splashed. We didn't see any of it being filmed. I guess if we'd stayed in the flat long enough, we would have seen Debbie driving down the road there, but we had other things to do. But that's the extent of our behind the scenes there. Yes, they used a hose pipe to create a puddle.
Yeah, they did.
There you go. That's what
the
you come to Conversation Street for, isn't it? So anyway, she's been splashed. Debbie's had a go at her. She's still desperate later on. She hasn't remembered about the bus or the tram, like you said. Steve can't get a taxi for her for reasons. But then who does she come across but Toya and Nick? And Toya is still very much on her, I just want to make up with you. I want to forgive you. I want everything harmonious and lovely. And let me give you a lift into court.
And this is like the worst thing she could do, because this is just making Leanne even more furious.
Yeah, she doesn't want her enemy helping her.
No.
So she refuses to accept a lift, but Toya basically insists, and Leanne realises she hasn't got much choice.
I was also going to say, when I saw Leanne waking up on Friday morning in bed, I thought she would have slept with Steve again.
Yes, well,
especially they did have that like a tete-a-tete, didn't they?
They did around New Year.
Yeah, and she went back to his house, stayed at the night with him.
Yeah, especially, I think maybe it was just on the Predictions podcast the other day. Actually, we were saying about with her being friends with Tracy, and then was she going to cop off with Tracy's husband? It can still happen. It can still happen.
There's plenty more fish in the sea.
Yeah, there are, aren't there?
She's got a trawler. She's going up and down.
So we don't get to see any of the court apart from when they arrive there and Toy's kind of fussing over Leanne's hair and saying that she looks like been dragged through her head backwards or something. I can't remember. And Leanne allows her to come into this court with her. How are you finding Toya's behaviour? Do you think that at this point she should just back off, because it's clearly poking the bear here, isn't it, with niceness? Do you think that she should ease off a little bit, or is she entitled to try and rebuild these bridges because they are sisters after all, you know?
What Toya trying to rebuild? I think that she has her own worst enemy. Like I said, she's pressing all the buttons to make Leanne hate her. If she just, I think she'd chilled out a bit and not tried so hard to be understanding and helpful.
She's not doing it to annoy.
No, she's not doing it maliciously.
And she's not doing it to show off how angelic she is and forgiving.
But
and
it's coming across
high
like
and
that
mighty.
to Leanne.
I think, to Leanne it certainly is.
Has already made comments about how, you know, Toya thinks she's so great and isn't, you know, she's the educated one and stuff, and tackling it with maturity, it makes Leanne look worse, and then she's going to retaliate by not accepting the olive branch.
Yeah, Toya isn't a naturally scrappy character. Yes, she does have a bit of Battersby in her, and she used to be a little bit more, but also she was always been the more level-headed one, and I think she's realised that this has got too far. All throughout this story, both characters here and there have talked about how important their sisterly bond is.
Well, yeah, and also don't forget that Leanne was the one that tried to rekindle their relationship initially, because she chose Toya over Nick, and then it got thrown back in their face, and now Toya's like trying to do the same thing back to her, and she's like, no, I'm not having it.
And of course it is easier to be forgiving when everything is turning up roses for you. You know, I got my new man, got my home, got my kid, going on holiday. I'm cool. I want to make up now. So I definitely get, and this is why another reason why I'm loving it. It's definitely very in character, and everyone's reacting, I think, how they would in this situation. Yeah. So anyway, Leanne refuses to go back home with her. She's got a community order, by the way, for anyone that was wondering, which I'm sure we'll see nothing of, scrubbing the floors or whatever, draining the flooded cobbles. But she says, no, we're not coming back from this. You stole my fiance. Sorry, it's over between us. I'm making my own way back to the street.
Yeah, I'm going home on a bus.
Yeah, finds her way back there, gets into the cafe with Tracy, who is not doing anything to help diffuse Leanne's building fury that she has against Nick and Toya.
This would be my reaction.
Oh, yeah, totally. You'd be fanning those flames.
I'm an instigator.
Yeah.
I'm like, who can we set fire to?
Yeah.
Let's go. Where's the matches? I'll help you. I'm not like a do you not think it might be a good idea?
I loved it in this scene where Leanne admits that she copped off with Ryan last night. She kind of does it in a bit of a guess what kind of way.
Like, guess what I did? And then Tracy's response.
And then Tracy's like, oh, what did she say? I've had a go on him as well, don't you? That was great.
I couldn't believe
what a line. I've had a go on him.
I know.
That
was very graphic.
It's so... Yeah, it is. It's vulgar, but in no way is it, you know, it's not obvious. Swearing or it's not obvious. I've had a go on him. Those words individually, very innocent. But
you're not getting
that's
flagged,
such a Tracy thing, isn't it? It's like how they overuse Waz, isn't it, for having a wee? I'm just going for a Waz. I would say that's the same level of vulgarity, but that gets overused in Coronation Street. Oh. I've not heard characters saying that before. And it was great. It was great. I know we had last week. We had Kevin talking about his balls, didn't we?
Oh, I don't know what I'm watching. Filth.
I know. Kate Brooks, she's a filth monger, isn't she? So anyway, look. Tracy says, let's go and have a drink later. Celebrate you getting off, in many senses of the word. Tommy's got a new house in Cheshire, so still on with Tommy.
I was surprised at this.
I know. I thought that he'd just been quietly shoved under the carpet, never to be mentioned again. But
I thought she decided. Number one, I thought they had to live in Spain, and number two, I thought that they're kind of split up. But if this is them just giving Tracy a base somewhere to explain why she's always there.
Yeah. Anyway, then the conversation does end up going back to those smug, satisfied, self-satisfied Nick and Toya, and your selfish cow of a sister took the lot when you moved out of that flat.
Well, yeah, they're
so
talking.
You should go and take it back.
About the fact that Leanne doesn't have any wine glasses. She's like, oh, I used to have really nice things, and then.
Yeah.
She's like, why should Toya get it all? Go take it off her.
Then we have the brilliant scene, and the music helped. It was in-universe music, wasn't it? It was like a jazzy kind of big band sort of soundtrack as Leanne is parading through the flat.
Wasn't expensive to license.
I think it wasn't. Yeah, she's just there, smile on her face, wrecking the place. And it wasn't like, I'm going to completely wreck your flat, but
she's
it was like, I'll do what I want.
Yeah.
Shoving her fingers in the cake that was there, taking a bite of it.
Did that look like a tiramisu to you?
It could have been tiramisu. I saw somebody saying Viennetta, but you don't leave a Viennetta out of the side, do you?
When I thought it was a Viennetta, but it wasn't crunchy enough to be a Viennetta.
Well, it would have been melted, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Anyway, then she finds this holiday booking slip from Hayes Travel for all your travel needs.
Now this is interesting, okay, because this was obviously some kind of like advertising tie-in, and I was looking when she got the information up. I was like, oh, she's going to cancel the holiday. But I bet you Hayes were like, no, you can't have a character use some of the information that we give to customers to cancel a holiday to make us look bad.
Yeah,
because there was
how easy it is to cancel a holiday from Hayes. No, right, we don't give that message.
Well, that there would be some dumb person on Twitter or something going, oh, I can't believe Hayes Travel would do that. They're an awful company, So it was really funny that there must have been a conversation somewhere where they had to negotiate.
I thought that's where it was going down, but actually what Leanne did was a whole lot
even better. Yeah. I'm so glad it shook out the way. Because it would have been boring if she just cancelled it.
Cancelling a holiday would have been predictable. Nobody would have seen her finding the passports and putting them in the toast. Me and you were just laughing our heads off during this scene. And it's not often that we get really into a scene so much that we're laughing or crying or anything like that. But especially me, I was like, this is amazing. She's toasting the passports.
It was gleeful.
It really, really was.
It was
just epic.
Chaotic.
Totally chaotic. So Nick
what antics?
It was very much chaotic antics there, yeah. Nick and Toya get back home later. Handy they were both going back in because the toaster's on fire. Leanne later says, I didn't mean to nearly set your flat on fire. I just wanted to burn your passport.
I wouldn't have thought a passport would catch on fire. I would have thought it was all plastic.
Well, there you go. Now you know. I don't know whether I'm just sounding stupid when I say this, but that was fake smoke, wasn't it? Was that fake smoke? Was it fake flames? It looked a bit CGI.
They looked... The fire looked real.
You were more convinced than me that it looked real, but I'm not sure.
There were definitely points where the smoke looked fake.
I think we need to ask Georgia about that one.
When we met,
yeah, go on.
Well, we met up with her and she told us that there was going to be some kind of stunt with flames and a toaster.
Yeah, she did. She did say,
and we were
I'm filming a scene with a flaming toaster today when we met up with her back in November. So there we go. But I totally forgotten that she'd said that. 100% forgotten that. And then when she put it in the toaster, I was like, flaming toaster
scene. There's going to be a fire.
Yeah. But I'm glad that it didn't burn the flat down or anything. I'm not in the mood for that story. It was just enough minor chaos in a very exuberant kind of crazy chaotic way that it was just
stupid enough,
really great telly,
and to be and dramatic.
Yeah.
And what would you do? Like, oh God, what a pain in the bum.
I know. So
to get to what happens if how much it costs quite a lot of money to replace a passport.
Yeah, Leanne, don't
and
care.
What colour were they?
Did you got new ones?
Because
I think they were blue ones.
I prized my red passport. I went and got my red passport purposefully
weeks before they turned to blue
to make sure I wouldn't get a skanky blue. It's not even blue; they're black.
I quite like my navy blue passport. Skanky, actually. So
I like my red one. It looks important.
Anyway, all three of their passports are a crispy brown now, so it doesn't matter, does it?
That's true.
Leanne sees Ryan
Brexit.
Leanne sees Ryan in the pub later and agree that definitely we don't want anything serious to come out of this relationship. Let's just forget it happened. Do you think anything of? Would you think that Ryan would do that? Is he that much of a player that he would go to bed with Leanne if she offered herself on a plate to him?
What do you mean?
Is Ryan the sort that would actually sleep with Leanne? Like, was he desperate, or was he drunk, or was he just like whatever?
I did think it felt out of character for Ryan.
He's not, he's not no prude or anything.
But I
is
mean,
he?
you know, he was a DJ, and they are, always
Notoriously
up for it, aren't
promiscuous.
they?
Yeah.
Like
Always, and Jeff always jiggling it about, isn't
exactly.
it? Anyway, that's by the by. They're not going to have anything come out of it. Debbie's kind of disgusted when she hears about it, which is brilliant.
Well, no. Also, if you're Debbie, are you thinking near miss for my Ronnie here? This seductress might have tempted him to bed.
Yeah. Luckily, Ronnie's got higher standards than Ryan. Nick comes in and accuses Leanne of passport toasting.
Ronnie and Ryan, there's a shipping.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Possibility.
I think not. Let's not go there. They just end up bickering. Nick and Leanne do, and Nick is left decidedly on the higher ground when it comes to morals. There, Nick won that argument, I think, by saying, Sam could have been there. I know he wasn't, but he could have been there. You could have burnt down the flat. I know you didn't. And Leanne, I think, sadly, this is the moment that she realises maybe I've gone a bit too far.
Boring.
Yeah. There was a great little scene with her and Ryan and Michael in the booth later, though, where she's saying that she's kind of ashamed of what happened, and Debbie's chipping in saying, yeah, it was a bit psycho what you did. I'm loving all the reactions from the people during all the dramas.
Yes, having commentary it feels like it's been missed.
Well, it's like in the Toya and Leanne fight at Christmas, wasn't it? Debbie and Abby and everybody really made that. But anyway, Michael says, look, you just need to let it go, and Ryan's like, yeah, you should probably try and move on. What a pair of killjoys those two are, eh?
Yeah.
We need Tracy in there saying, no, Leanne, you've not gone far enough yet. What's the step up from toasting a passport?
Unplugging your fridge.
No, that's not a step up.
Yes, it is. You ruin all the food and it stinks.
Okay.
You. It's clear you're not responsible for the grocery shopping in this house. All the cooking.
I'd be
devastated if somebody did that to
I just
me.
don't think it's the natural progression. So toaster goes up to maybe deep fat fryer. What could she have put in there?
Car keys.
Deep fat fry in his car keys, maybe. Yeah, okay.
That would stink as well, wouldn't it? All the plastic.
Anyway, look, they're at the bistro later.
Weeing in his water bottle. Because he likes jogging.
Yeah.
Imagine if he's there and he's, coming to the end of his run and he's parched and he's got his lovely water bottle with him and he takes a nice long tug of Leanne wee.
I wonder whether Leanne could just go into their freezer and replace the labels on the veggie lasagna. No, replace the veggie. Yeah,
just
put meat lasagna inside the veggie lasagna, and then
that's I think that I think that Coronation
cruelty.
Street would be in trouble with Peter.
Probably.
If she did that.
Anyway, Leanne goes round to the flat later and is like, yeah, sorry. She was a bit tail between her legs with this, and she says, look, gonna move on. Let's make a clean break of it. You can have the bistro. You can buy it off of me. And then, so she goes and sells the bistro to it. So the bistro is now under sole possession of Nick. And Toya's obviously working there.
Money?
I know. He's just like, oh yeah, I'll give you.
How much do you think it would cost? Because I was looking at. Didn't
they show the price of the bistro at some point? I don't remember.
I was only looking at businesses just out of curiosity because I'm fascinated with the idea that you can just buy a business. Because I'm so naive, I didn't even think about it. But you can buy a business actually much cheaper than I thought. But it depends on whether you own the premises, and I can't remember ever. And I don't think Coronation Street really knows until they want to write a story revolving it, whether you own the premises. Does Nick own the bistro? Is he mortgaging it, or is he renting it, or what? But you could probably, depends on what the turnover is. This is what I learned, and what your profit margin is.
So anyway, there you go.
You want
Tracy has made. Leanne has made a clean break.
Want business advice? Come to me. I know everything.
Leanne's made a clean break. It feels like the story's probably been put on pause now.
Boring.
It can't go on forever, but I thoroughly enjoyed it while it lasted. It was amazing.
Yeah, I know. So I
guess good luck to Nick and Toya.
Somebody made a very good comment on our. On Twitter, I saw John McNee. He suggested that maybe Leanne might invest in a different business on the street.
Oh yes, I saw that as well.
I won't say which one.
Maybe.
But wouldn't it be interesting if she did take over a different business and maybe be a rival?
Well, I'm not. The Rovers may need a new proprietor, mightn't it?
That is true.
If Leanne passes the money to Jenny, Jenny gives it to Carla. Leanne's in charge of the Rovers.
And she's going to have... Is she going to give
that would be really great, actually, because when the bistro There was a story at some point when Jenny and Johnny moved into the Rovers, and they kind of were at loggerheads with
Debbie.
Was it Debbie who was in charge of the bistro then? Having Leanne at one end of the street and Toya at the other end, that could be quite. And they would like try to outdo each other in terms of who could get the most punters.
There would definitely be at least one bit where Toya would undermine Leanne with her insider knowledge of being a previous landlady of the Rovers. Like, don't buy too many wasabi peas.
Yeah.
Because people hate them.
Tip. Right, next up, Gemma, we've got the Hay Platt payback storyline. Which, again, don't think it's anything to do with the Hays, apart from the Hay brother. But what went on here? Does the dog die? No. But it's
not yet.
Near miss.
Well, it might do.
It might do.
On Wednesday, David and Shona are waiting for the
police station
about waiting for the Warner Brothers information when this guy who used to know David in prison comes over, and he's like quite, forcefully, like aggressively friendly, I'd say. You've written intimidatingly pally, which is also a good way of describing it. Yeah. And he tells David, like, give me your phone, I'm going to put my number in there so I'll talk to you. And then when he goes, Craig's like, I would stay away from him if I was you. And David's like, well, I intend to.
Mm-hmm.
Lily comes back from the precinct and she has a note that a man gave her for David, and he looks at it. David and Shona look at it, and it's from Harvey, saying, you owe me 10 grand on this money. And Shona's panicking that this is a message not only about the interest rates, but the fact that he can access the kids. He can get to them whenever he wants. He knows where they are.
We've been a little bit quiet on this side of the story for a few weeks, I think, but things are seeming to ramp up now. And one of the last shots on the Christmas Day episode was David looking worried out the window. He just shouldn't have stolen that money, really, should he? And I still look back on the fact that he did that and thinking, I wonder whether that was a bit out of character, some of his behaviour.
He stole
when he was gaslighting
Shona.
Shona. Well, no, it was kind of Nick that stole it first, wasn't it?
I know, but he stole it off him. He's stolen money before.
I just think that the whole money thievery was a little bit out of character, but I'm willing to put that aside because I am enjoying seeing the Platts feeling threatened and looking over their shoulders all the time this week. It's been fun.
Yeah, so they both sort of agree that they must look up, be vigilant, but Shona doesn't think they're taking enough precautions. And on Friday...
I liked it at the end of Wednesday's episode where David just draws the curtains dramatically. He's like, swoosh, swoosh, just to make clear. They're not coming in through the windows.
Not coming in here.
They'll probably think we're not in if we draw the curtains.
He's watched from.
It's like when you put a cover over your parrot's cage. It's like, we're not in.
Right, so when Harvey comes around, he'll just chuck a towel over his head.
Yeah.
And he'll just fall asleep.
Well, this is Harvey's methods. They put a bag over Adam's head just last year, didn't they?
Placates you, isn't it?
Yeah.
So on Friday, Lily is like being given advice from David about stranger danger.
Well, she thinks it
not
is.
Taking it seriously.
She kind of scoffs at this. She's like, they have told us.
Realise.
David's trying to get this very serious and real threat message across to her. You have got to be careful. And she's like, whatever. Don't talk to strangers.
Classic.
Don't get in a car if we're offering sweets.
We know. Don't look at a puppy.
Yeah.
Right. Speaking of puppies, in comes Michael with David the dog wrapped in a coat because he's been hit by a car.
Oh, gosh.
And they have to rush to take him to the vets. And later on...
I think it was the van man. I think it was Chesney's van man.
What has happened to him?
Yeah. And actually Logan's completely innocent with all this.
Maybe.
No.
So, okay. So, David and Shona are talking about this and they're really worried. Number one, how did the dog get out? Do you think that this is them sending a warning? And then he gets a text from Harvey going, you're next. But they're also worried because they don't have any money. And this could be, when David said...
Did they talk about insurance? I don't know if it was even brought up.
No, they can't do, otherwise they would have mentioned it. But David was like, even the vet's appointment is 50 quid. I'm like, if you can't afford that, you're going to be in serious trouble. Because we were in that same position with our, when we had... Safi. It was so expensive.
Safi was a jolly expensive cat and she had quite a bit wrong with her at points.
Yeah, she really did.
And she was insured.
It's the worst part about having an animal is the worry about them having to pay medical bills and what do you do if you have a point where you can't afford it. And David was being very practical and at one point I thought he was going to say, is just a dog. But
I was getting that impression from him as well.
He was giving off a very weird vibe, but then the script was, I'll do whatever it takes. But his expression was not that. I was not getting that.
No.
And Shona was like, oh, poor thing. But I wasn't really getting the desperate, sad vibe off of them that I would have expected.
I didn't think about that, but now you mention it, you're absolutely right. They were sad, but they were more worried about the expense. But it wasn't like, oh my gosh, my lovely pal David the dog is up on death's door here.
It's sickening when that happens to you.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Lily was a bit upset, I suppose, but yeah.
They just didn't seem that into him.
No.
The dog, that they would have but what they do doesn't go with the vibe I got, because they're trying to remortgage the house and get money from anywhere.
Little dog. How long's David got left?
Well, he's a Yorkie, so a long time.
Oh yeah, little dogs live longer, don't they?
Probably. Well,
generally.
We've had chihuahuas that lived 15, 20 years.
Okay. So it's still worth a punt then.
Oh yeah, a little Yorkie.
Right,
okay. And he's got a little hairstyle. If a dog's got a hairstyle, I think you've got to be prepared to pay more for their medical bills. Right. So they're like, okay, we'll go to the bank and ask for some more money. And David then summons Craig.
He's about to fess up, isn't he? He's like, this has got long enough, and Shona stops him because she doesn't want the police getting involved with this.
He's about to confess when Shona's like, no, it's just he is nothing. And we think that the dog was run over on purpose. And Craig's like, oh, that's not nothing. That's a serious crime.
Yeah, David kind of changes, doesn't he? He says, oh, I just wanted to tell you about the dog being hit. And Craig's like,
oh wow.
Craig is clearly a massive dog lover, and he likes the idea of this crime, doesn't he?
I'll be
furious. I am going to involve myself, and I'm going to commit myself to this particular thing.
I bet it's on the Ring doorbell that we never talk about. Steve's Ring doorbell. Yeah.
So anyway, Shona says to David, look, if we grass Harvey up, you're going to end up with an even bigger target on your back. So we cannot get the police involved in
I'd be so furious if somebody did this to a pet.
Oh, I know.
Oh, this is why I'm always really nice to neighbours. Because people are psychopaths. I don't trust them. I hear so many horrible stories about like people poisoning cats and things.
Yeah, putting the cats in the bin.
Yes. That lady who was in your mum's choir.
Yeah. Anyway,
I think you need to explain. There was a lady. Was it in Coventry? Yeah. She was on video. I think this is more famous in this country than in other countries, but it's a very famous CCTV footage of a woman just picking a cat up and putting it in a bin for no reason at all. And she was like one of the most hated women in the country for months, but she was a member of your mum's choir.
Was she? I thought that there was a link.
There was a link somewhere.
It wasn't somebody that my mum knew.
No, she didn't know her.
She doesn't. My mum didn't
socialise with cat
people,
abusers.
No, with cat binners. No. Anyway, so are you worried about little doggy Dave? It felt like by the end of the episode.
Bill, but then I can't get worried about any money things on Coronation Street because it's all just pointless.
I mean, they're already massively in debt. I mean, what's extra vet bills? I think David will be okay, doggy David.
So but you see what I mean about this? This could be a proper story. Like this is something that happens to people regularly. Where what do you do when your dog or cat is and you don't have pet insurance? Because a lot of people can't afford that. It's expensive. Like, we had to change Abby's because they wanted to charge us £80.
Yeah.
We can't afford to pay that every month for her to just fart about.
Sorry, Abby.
But instead of that, it's just a sort of a small footnote in a bigger story, which is not at all relatable. So anyway, I think that he'll be fine, but I think it's just going to add a bit of pressure because they spoke to the Shona's gone to the bank and she's asked them about equity from the house, but because they've only just bought this and mortgaged it, the only option they've got is to sell it, and they can't even really think about doing that. That would be a bit stupid, wouldn't it?
Well, David,
to sell your house.
Yeah, but David kind of says, "Well, look, it's only a house at the end of the day." I think he kind of sees it in practical terms and is like, well, desperate times call for desperate measures. So he's not.
Again, though.
Not completely against their idea.
A bonkers reaction that is in no way representative of their real situation. Like if I was David and my dog been run over and I was looking at a bill for what, $5,000?
Maybe,
Let's
yeah.
say. I would just say to all my friends and family, can you please lend me some money?
But it's
Doesn't
not
have
just
to be...
this, is it? This is the beginning.
Oh no, but that's I know.
What's
This is
next?
gonna. I think I know why this bit's happened.
I think I know why this bit's happened, knowing some spoilers that are coming ahead. But
yeah,
we can't talk
like
about that.
I wish there would just be a bit where they would go, "Why don't we ask your gran?" And David say what you just said. Well, what for a bucket, for a drop in a bucket?
Yeah, drop in the ocean.
It doesn't make any difference.
Yeah. Well,
sell
anyway.
Lily. Why don't we sell Lily? Get Lily. Where's Lily here? Where's she
How
earning
can she
a job?
use her top footballing skills
Why don't she
to
go
earn us
on
a bit of dough?
send PX and like become a football influencer?
Yeah,
Earn money
exactly.
that way.
You're not thinking out
Why
of the
don't we
box
sell
enough,
that
David.
pistachio handbag you've got? I heard that they're really popular.
How are you finding the relationship dynamics between Shona and David at the moment? Because it feels like they've kind of forgiven each other for all their wrongdoings
It
before.
doesn't feel like they had an argument.
There's been no point this week is Shona saying, you know what, none of this would have happened if you hadn't X, Y, and Z. And David's not like, well, you're one to talk. I think I'm glad because I wanted them to reunite again because I love them as a couple.
But yeah, it feels
if it was
as though...
you, I think if it was you,
Yeah, grudge
you would
holding.
just drip it in every now and then.
Yeah.
It's just your fault, Michael, that the cat's been run
Pick
over.
that scab.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got to hold on to every grudge. That's what I say. Each grudge is individually precious and important and should be nurtured for the rest of your life. Do you know how this is how you make pearls, Michael? This is how an oyster makes a pearl. Takes a bit of grit and it slowly polishes it until it's a really beautiful piece of art. And that's what I do with grudges.
Right, look, end of the episode, David's bought locks for the windows, hasn't he? Because he's realised that the whole curtain shutting technique isn't quite enough to deter the potential intruders.
He's forbidding Lily to go outside.
Yeah, Lily doesn't get it. I can't remember what Max knows. Does he know? I think he maybe
Max
knows.
doesn't care about anything apart from Lauren.
The only clue is about Lauren and Frankie.
Sell the baby.
Yeah.
Sell Frankie.
Yeah. I think he should invite Lauren back to live with them and then offer her as a hostage when Logan comes
Why
calling.
don't you be like, oh no, Harvey, you've gone after David the dog, the most precious thing to me apart from Lauren. I hope that you would never target Lauren and her baby.
She spends such a tough life as it is already.
She's so innocent and she's done nothing wrong and life's been so dreadful to her. I just want to protect her as much as possible.
And tell you what, that is soap justice catching up with her after she killed.
You
Joel.
told me that she was not guilty, and I said she was.
She wasn't guilty of murder. I don't believe it. Right.
They overcharged her.
Minor stories
I'm
next. So we had the breakdown mechanic story just on Monday. There was another little appearance of Seb at the end of it, wasn't there?
Yes. How long is he going to be knocking about for?
Oh, I don't know. So we had Roy getting Kevin to one side in the cafe on Monday saying, well, Abby was round here yesterday. I feel she's troubled. She's seeing visions of Seb. There seems to be a bit of... Abby's not she kind of says, I'm imagining him, but I'm not seeing him. I think she's trying to downplay her symptoms, isn't she?
Yeah, Toya's like...
I'm not getting wonky cam about this, anything, I swear. Toya's there, yeah. She says to Kevin, look, maybe I can talk to Abby. And Kev's like, no, I don't think so. Abby at home says sorry to Kev for running out on him the other day. And Kevin's cool with it. He says, look, Roy says that, having visions. And she's like, no, not. Definitely not. I'm not nuts. I'm absolutely fine. I don't want to talk about it. I'm going to an addiction meeting. Bye. Toya tries to speak to Abby in the street, but she nearly bites her head off and Toya's like, look, grief counsellor, have you maybe tried this? And Abby brings up Alfie and Imran again and says that you killed Alfie's dad. Now you want him and all. Stay away from him. So that is still definitely there, bubbling away.
Do you know what? I will
just kick Toya a little bit more when she's already pretty down with the whole Leanne situation.
I do want to see Toya have a bit of a venting sesh with Nick, maybe going, I'm trying to be the bigger person, but all these bitches keep coming at me and having a go at me like their messy lives are my problem.
Yeah.
Because now she's having it off Abby and Leanne. She's done nothing wrong except for trying to use her counselling for the greater good.
Yep, absolutely. That's almost all there was. So the end of the episode, she has another go at Toya. She marches into the bistro and says, stay out of my life. But then when she walks out, she thinks she sees Seb walking towards her. Whoa. But it's alright, it's just some bloke. It was Seb again. He made a little ghostly appearance briefly.
Boom.
I was expecting a lot more from that this week. In a way, I think the week was already pretty tightly and enjoyably packed.
Do you think that there's gonna have to be, because he keeps appearing, Seb? Do you think that has to happen for him to stop appearing? Like he literally is a ghost with unfinished business. Like, does Abby have to?
Abby just needs to make peace with someone, and then she'll be fine mentally.
What's the problem? Why does she keep seeing him? Because she's got PTSD from Mason. So what can really? Do you not think that if she went, did she really go to an addiction meeting?
I don't know.
I would hope that if she actually did.
Does she just need to go along to Mason's funeral or something?
But listen, if she actually went to an addiction meeting, you would hope that she would say, I feel very challenged because I witnessed a horrific crime and it's bringing back memories of my son being murdered. Do you not think they'd be like, oh, sounds like you need a bit more support?
I'm not loving.
Would you like an exorcist?
I'm not loving this bit of the story at the moment, as it just doesn't feel like it's not got an obvious plot thread that it's going. It's just
because
her
it
having
keeps happening. It feels as though something has to happen to make it stop happening because it's a symbol of her mental turmoil.
Maybe she just needs to go to ytv.com/advice to help her with all her issues.
Are you seeing visions?
Yeah. Anyway, so there's that. Though we didn't get any more of that. Maybe Abby will pop back in again next week. I mean, we've still got Kevin's ball drama, haven't we? Where are we up to with that? It didn't really get much of a mention this week.
He's waiting. He's got to go for a test.
He must have had the test by now.
Well,
he did. He went. I think he did go and have the test. So it can't be that long before he gets the results back. So fingers crossed for next week, Kevin. Sure, maybe. Finally, Gemma, we had a little bit of Carla Swala story. 2 scenes maybe on Monday.
Yeah, they're at home. They're on the sofa.
Carla's been discharged.
Lisa's booked the day off.
Yeah.
Lisa wants to look after her, and then Lisa tells Carla that she's 100% there for her, knows how scary it is. Carla says, I'm not scared, but it does look like she is a bit scared.
It does look like she's a bit scared, but good old Lisa, she's doing her best to help her. So that's been put to bed for a little bit. Carla's back. She's got Lisa looking after her. Everything's going to be fine.
She's got a dialysis machine, but don't ask questions.
Yeah. I don't think we mentioned this in the podcast so far. I put a little note here to remind myself. Where is the Swain's cat at this point?
This is worrying because this cat is drowning.
This is one of my big issues with Corrie at the moment. One of the unresolved questions that I've had. I'm sure it's been established that Lisa and Betsy have got a feline companion at their house.
Don't even know what his name is.
No. Where is it? Has she been put in a cattery while I kind of get that Carla maybe wouldn't want a cat. Maybe that's the thing. That's maybe why Carla was so resistant for so long. Because Carla don't want no cat scratching up her furniture, does she?
I don't want any kind of anything relying on me.
No, and she hasn't got a garden, so it means she'd have to have a litter tray in her house.
No,
I don't think Carla would really be up for that as well.
No, Carla is not a litter tray girl, is she?
No, but the longer that the Swains are staying there, and it's been a good few weeks now, hasn't it? Don't they miss the cat? Are they just heartless?
Does
Betsy go and visit the cat?
So hard if our cat was in a cattery.
Yeah,
and it's bloody expensive as well. It's like £9 a day.
It's all right. Betsy's loaded.
Oh yeah, she's got her inheritance.
Yeah,
that's what Becky would want them to do: is to fund a cattery for the Swain family cat because her wife's new girlfriend doesn't like cats.
I think that maybe Carla's going to go and track down Logan and say, "Look, I hear you're in the business of having accidents with family pets."
David's cat.
This is David's cat.
I hope nothing happens to her. I'm devastated. No,
Problem solved.
She would never.
Maybe she's done it already.
I do think perhaps there's a bit of regret somewhere along the lines that they mentioned that they have a cat because this cat has been neglected.
Why can't people on Corrie just have cats? Why do they have to have dogs all the time? Whenever there's a cat, it gets forgotten about sold off.
They don't even have dogs, do they?
I know, but at least David the dog makes the odd appearance here and there, and who else is there?
It's obviously
I don't think we've seen Peanut since Beth's
we
gone.
saw what a palaver it was when we watched some filming and they had pets come in, and it did seem like a big pain.
We have heard it's a massive palaver to have pets in any scene on Coronation Street, but
and still, even when it's your own pet, even when it was Simon Gregson's dog Cookie, he played Rover. It still seemed like it was just an insurmountable pain in the bum to have. I mean, it feels like if you were an actor and you had a pet and the pet was cast as in the show, you would just I would always have it with me. I'd always be walking around with my dog in my arms, or it would be in every scene. But there's obviously a lot more to it than that. Otherwise, they would do it, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
All these things where like, oh, why don't they just? It's obviously a reason why they don't do it, but we don't understand it. It's a lot more complicated.
On the ITV3 repeats at the moment, just in the last couple of weeks, we've had Eccles make her debut appearance. She must have been quite old when she died, though.
Yeah, but she was.
But yeah, it's quite fun.
I think she was. I remember us talking about.
She's spending all the scenes nipping Ken in the ankle and generally annoying him. Right, okay, so that was this week's Coronation Street. I enjoyed chatting about that with you today, Gemma. I enjoyed watching
fun, wasn't it?
I'm
feeling
good.
I enjoyed this week.
I'm feeling positive about Coronation Street at the moment. Still, we've had a couple of months worth of Kate Brooks so far. It's not all been gold. I'm not going to lie and say, oh my gosh, she's the saviour of Coronation Street. Everything's been brilliant. But I'm feeling that more weeks are going past where I'm thinking, that was pretty good, actually.
It feels like it's turned a bit of a corner.
Yeah, it has. And, I don't want to count my chickens because who knows what's around the corner. It could completely take it.
Castrated chicken?
Is that what you're scoring it out of this week? What is a male castrated chicken? You said that you knew that was one of the quiz questions, wasn't it?
I guessed it was that because I was going to buy one for Christmas.
What are you going to score it this week? I'm going to let you go first.
I'm going to score it 4 toasted passports.
Oh, nice.
Thanks.
Okay. I'm going to score it 4 poor man's Dermot O'Leary's out of 5 this week.
Oh dear.
Character of the week was
Leanne,
wasn't it?
Yes.
It was.
Leanne was delicious and hilarious.
There was a lot of great character stuff this week.
Daisy
I loved Daisy.
Yeah.
Daniel was brilliant to watch. Bethany was brilliant. Sarah getting up on her high horse as high as she can for a little short ass like her. Leanne was fun. Debbie, amazing. I loved everything with David and Shona. They were but Leanne, it was I was just had a grin spread all over my face every time that she appeared on the screen this week. So I very happily will give that character of the week to her.
Yay!
Yeah.
Congratulations, Leanne.
Fingers crossed for next week. So fingers crossed we've still got more good stuff to come. Okay, so
I'm sure Hayes will be incredibly helpful. They've probably got a helpline dedicated for people whose psychotic sisters have toasted their passports. And if Hayes wants to sponsor a podcast, they can. We've got very reasonable rates.
Right, we're done.